Hey there, and welcome to Weeb Novel Audiobook, your hub for epic fanfics, original stories, and thrilling adventures brought to life. Make sure to subscribe for regular updates and swing by my Patreon for early access and exclusive mature content. Now, sit back and enjoy the journey.
Akira thought they might need 3 rallies just to observe the minute details of Fumizuki's sets. To pinpoint the cues hidden within this highly deceptive strategy. Right now, it was a gamble. But a grin tugged at the corner of Akira's mouth. Even if it was a gamble, this wasn't about blindly picking a side. In the delicate battle between attack and block, it wasn't only the attacker's setter who held the advantage. People often praised brilliant setters for outsmarting blockers, letting their hitters score freely. But what many overlooked was how blockers could read, deceive, and outplay them too. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stone. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stone. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a Power Stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 166, Chapter 166, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi, 2. Bonus chapter. In this situation where Akira didn't say a word, Kageyama and Tsukishima instantly reacted on the opposite side. The two of them fixed their eyes on the two players positioned at the left wing of the opposing team. This was exactly what everyone at Karasuno had discussed before the match began. When Inyabushi Higashi used this tactic, if Akira didn't give the signal, then each of them would focus on a specific player. As for the rest of the court, Akira would handle it with improvisation. No one at Karasuno had any objections to this arrangement. Catching a glimpse of Kageyama and Tsukishima's movements from the corner of his eye, Akira immediately dashed to the left of the right wing, closing in on the player nearest to Yasuke Fumizuki. This defensive shift caused a significant gap to open in Karasuno's blocking net. The player on the far right of the right wing was now completely unguarded. Seeing this, Yasuke Fumizuki's eyes lit up from across the net. He couldn't know exactly what Karasuno's 3 front row players were thinking, but he knew one thing for sure: the opponent had been tricked by their formation. No matter what Karasuno's intent was, maybe they had been thrown off by the confusing movement earlier. Or maybe, under the pressure of 4 players jumping simultaneously, their coordination had faltered. But now, their defense was undeniably vulnerable. There was a teammate open and no one was marking him. This was an opportunity. Yet Yasuke Fumizuki didn't act right away. Because as the team setter and captain, he understood this was the moment when he absolutely couldn't be impulsive. If he made the wrong call and Karasuno seized the ball, if they didn't score, then all of his teammates' previous efforts would be in vain. Through his calm analysis, Yasuke Fumizuki noticed a detail that sent a chill down his spine. That was, although Karasuno's number 7 Hadi moved toward the left side attacker on the right wing, his eyes had never left the player on the far right. Yasuke Fumizuki had a hunch if he set the ball to that far right attacker, number 7 would likely launch into a diagonal jump instantly and shut that play down. Based on what he'd seen in Karasuno's previous matches, with the blocking techniques of number 7, that spike would definitely be denied. In that instant, Yasuke Fumizuki broke into a cold sweat. If he hadn't noticed that final detail, he would have walked right into their trap. But now that he had seen through it, there was no way Akira could stop the next play. Resolute, Yasuke Fumizuki finally made his move. The ball he just received soared into the air. And right then, across the net, Akira and the other two dropped into ready position at the same time. Jump. Block. But suddenly, Yasuke Fumizuki did something that shocked the entire court. He changed his hand position mid-pass. The ball that was originally aimed at the right wing was redirected into an unexpected setter dump. It was a last-minute decision made by Yasuke Fumizuki himself. Since Akira was locked onto the right wing, any ball sent there was likely to be blocked. Having studied Karasuno's past games, he had no doubt that N07 had that level of red and power. In that case, the spot everyone had overlooked, the center, where the setter stood, was the ideal place to strike. A sudden dump like this should be impossible to react to in time. However, just as the unexpected second attack was about to cross the net, Akira had already leapt in front of him. Smack. Stuff block. With all of Inyabushi Higashi's attackers involved in the previous motion, no one was left to cover. And their libero couldn't possibly cover the entire court alone. So, the ball was blocked cleanly by Akira and slammed straight into the floor. The referee's whistle pierced the air. Tweet. Karasuno scores. Whoa. That attacker. He's insanely decisive. In the stands, Uday Tenma and Akita Tsukishima, who had come to watch the match, both sat up with mouths agape. The players on the court might not have seen it clearly in the heat of the moment. But from the spectators' perspective, their vision was totally unobstructed. When Akira had gone up to block, he had aimed for the right-wing attacker. Nor had he gone straight up to stop the left-side hitter on the right wing. Instead, he jumped directly to the left. The intent was crystal clear. He was aiming to block the setter's second attack. But how did he know that Inyabushi Higashi's setter would go for a dump? And doing so left both right-wing attackers with a completely open net. If they'd set the ball there was a good chance of scoring outright. Because with no block in front of them, it would have been incredibly difficult for Karasuno's back row to dig the spike. At that moment, both Uday Tenma and Akita Tsukishima were left stunned. They'd both thought, that's it, we're losing this point. But what made their jaws drop was the Inyabushi Higashi's eater actually went for the second attack. It was like the two of them had made a secret pact in advance. One shifted the block in that direction, while the other just so happened to execute the attack. And so No 7 blocked the ball perfectly. Karasuno's number 7. Akira. The commentator's excited voice rang out across the gym. He just made a decisive diagonal leap and read the setter's second attack flawlessly. He stuffed the ball directly to the floor. He must have been carefully watching the setter's movements. A shocked voice came from the audience. I don't think those commentators saw the real reason at all. They keep saying it's careful observation. But this was obviously a trap. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel. I'm in Westview Town. Naruto. I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel. Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 167, Chapter 167, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi, 3, Kita, what do you think? The group watching the match, all clad in pitch black jerseys, was none other than Inarizaki High, who had just finished their game. Ahem. Ren Omimai, the player on Inarizaki with the most expertise in net blocking, was the one who had just spoken. As everyone's eyes turned to him, Omimai rubbed his chin and essayed in a low, thoughtful voice, "If I'm not mistaken, that player named Akira tricked Inyabushi Higashi's setter into making that second attack. That last play was entirely manipulated by the setter under his inducement, inducing a setter to go for a SE-con touch." Hearing this, Etsumumiya was momentarily stunned before speaking up. "That's not something you see every day. A setter's second attack isn't something you use as a regular option. Because if the blocker on the other side reads it, it's almost guaranteed to get stuffed. That kind of attack is only effective when you're sure there's a clear gap across the net." He glanced back at the court, his voice trailing off in reflection. "Is that it?" As one of the top setters in the country, a faint theory began forming in his mind. "Exactly." Omimai nodded. "Just now, Akira created the illusion for Inyabushi Higashi's setter that made him commit to the second attack." "An illusion?" The entire team furrowed their brows, eyes locked on the match. What kind of illusion would make the opposing setter believe there was an opening? "I don't know the specifics," Omimai admitted, shaking his head. "But it must have been something like that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have jumped so decisively toward the setter's position. You saw that, right? That jump left almost the entire right wing of Karasuno's court wide open. If he wasn't absolutely certain, there's no way he would have taken that risk." On the other side of the court, as he faced Karasuno's serve once again, Yasuke Fumizuki could only feel a cloud of confusion lingering in his mind. He still hadn't figured out what had happened in that last play. Why did Karasuno's number 7, who had been focused on the right wing, suddenly appear right in front of him? Could he have known from the beginning that Fumizuki was going for the second attack? Impossible. His decision to go for the setter dump was made on the fly. There was no way Akira could have read that in advance. Don't dwell on that last point. Just as his thoughts began spiraling, Kiyaki Daigo's voice cut in from beside him. Phew, I know. Fumizuki looked across the net. Joyo Hinata was already preparing to serve. He quickly forced himself to refocus. His experience told him, now wasn't the time for self-reflection. Thwack, Hinata served. Tetsuya Harada, stationed in the back row, quickly slid over to the landing spot. But this time, Hinata's serve was different from before. Though it wasn't a power jump serve, it was a floating ball with an unpredictable trajectory. Normally, Harada would have no trouble receiving this kind of serve. But Fumizuki's failed second touch had thrown off his concentration just enough that thud, sorry. The receive went a little too high. Fumizuki's pupils narrowed. The ball was barely playable. And if he tried another second touch, Karasuno's number 7 was already watching his every move from across the net. It would be nearly impossible to pull it off again. They were cornered. Gritting his teeth, Fumizuki jumped D-tap. He gently pushed the ball over, sending it past Karasuno's front row block into the deep rear corner. An ultra-long distance tip. The ball's landing point was unclear. No one could tell if it would land in or out. But Nishinoya in the back row didn't hesitate. Just before the ball hit the floor, he dove and picked it up. In this kind of situation, it wasn't worth gambling on whether it was in or out. Because Nishinoya knew, if he got that ball up, the front row would score. That was the trust they built up over time. Whoosh, Nishinoya's pass flew up. Kageyama sprinted to the ball's drop point. Jump set. The ball soared toward Akira. Right wing. Fumizuki's shout echoed across the court. The three blockers from Inyabushi Higashi rushed to the net. Jump block. But Akira soared higher than all of them and smashed the ball directly above their outstretched hands. Boom, the ball slammed down on the sideline behind Inyabushi Higashi. A perfect cross-court kill. Screech, Karasuno scores. Hiss. Fumizuki sucked in a breath. Watching Karasuno from the stands hadn't seemed like much. But now that they were facing Akira's spike firsthand, the pressure was overwhelming. Screech, the referee's whistle sounded again. Hinata continued his serve. Ha ha. Inyabushi Higashi was mocking Matsukawa Tech for not being able to block before. But now, they can't stop Akira's spike either. Take Tora Yamamoto burst into laughter on the sidelines. I thought they were supposed to be tough. Yeah. Tetsuro Kuroho sighed, arms crossed. If your jump height doesn't clear a certain threshold, trying to block that kind of spike is pointless. Well. Watching the play unfold, Inarizaki's captain, Shinsuke Kida, spoke calmly. Do you think we could block it? Omimai hesitated. If I don't get a running start, I definitely can't jump that high. Etsumamiya and the others exchanged looks before shaking their heads. Same here. I could barely reach that height. Aaron Ajiro scratched the back of his head, a bit sheepish. But if I have to jump that high every time, I'm not gonna make it through the whole match. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps Teehee updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 168, Chapter 168, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi, 4, To be precise, it's only the 12th or 13th rally. Hearing their words, Shinsuke Kida shook his head and said, no need to jump as high as him. I've seen the footage from their match against Shira Torizawa. In that match, he jumped even higher than he is now. What? Does that mean, this current height isn't even his full power? Everyone was startled by his words. Since Karasuno was in a different bracket, they hadn't done much pre-game research. Originally, Inarizaki had planned to start studying their final 4 opponents tonight. But they hadn't expected that Shinsuke Kida had already watched Karasuno's previous matches. As the chatter died down around him, Kida continued, that kind of height must be more physically demanding. If he keeps using it, he won't last the whole match. Even this current form is already impressive. Aaron Ajiro spoke hesitantly, if I were jumping that high, I couldn't hold out for an entire game. Plus, he seems to be smashing even more frequently than I do. Exactly. Just like against Shira Torizawa. Noticing how the discussion was starting to drift, Kida's expression darkened. What we need to be discussing is how to stop his spikes. Can you all listen quietly for a second? His commanding presence quickly silenced the group. Even Itsumamiya, who was usually the most talkative, fell quiet, nodding in obedience. Seeing this, Kida sighed and rubbed his forehead before continuing, in the match between Shira Torizawa and Karasuno, no one could match his jump height. But I noticed something. As long as the blocker's jump height is enough to interfere with his spike, he'll adjust and redirect his angle to avoid the block. In other words, if we can meet a certain threshold height-wise, we can disrupt his spikes, maybe even block them outright. No problem. Ren Omimai grinned. If all we need to do is interfere, I can handle that. Exactly, Kitten nodded, satisfied. If we can just get in his way, we can coordinate our front row block and back row defense to handle him. Otherwise, we'll never beat Karasuno. Yes. Across the court, Inyabushi Higashi was gradually losing ground to Karasuno's offense. The score was now Karasuno 13, Inyabushi Higashi 6. No matter how precise their teamwork was, once they failed to handle Akira's spikes, everything fell apart. During the match, Yasuke Fumizuki began to notice something alarming. Their signature synchronized attacks where multiple hitters coordinate for a single play were starting to fail. Karasuno's number 7 could read his passes almost every time and move in front of the intended spiker to block. But Fumizuki couldn't figure out why. No matter how hard he racked his brain, he couldn't understand how Karasuno's number 7 always seemed to predict his plays. He was always there blocking the spike at just the right moment. Smack. Watch the right wing. Inyabushi Higashi's blockers scrambled to the net, but when faced with Akira, it was useless again. The ball shot past them right into the same spot as a tip shot. It was a narrow path, and the defenders in the back row didn't even have time to react. The ball hit the floor cleanly. This wasn't the first time it had happened either. In the past, their back row players had trained themselves to cover the areas the front line couldn't handle. But they had subconsciously ignored the area just beneath the block. And now, facing Akira, their block was being bypassed entirely. That left their defense helpless when his spikes landed in the seam between them. By this point, everyone on Inyabushi Higashi had grim expressions. Their usual rhythm was completely gone. Their refined team coordination was meaningless now. Some of the second and third years couldn't help but recall a certain past match. Shirei Darizawa. Back in the last spring high tournament, they'd been defeated by Shirei Darizawa in much the same way. Ushijima had relied on overwhelming power to blast through their blocks. No matter how solid the block formation, it was crushed under his cannon-like spikes. This time, against Karasuno, it was different. Karasuno's No 7 Akira wasn't just powerful. He used his incredible jump height to soar over their blocks entirely. Different method. Same result. He's Inzana. This guy. From the very beginning, Uday Tenma had been muttering in awe. Whoa. That spike was so high. The block couldn't even come close. It's hopeless. Back in his high school days, Tenma had struggled with his height and had relied on refined ball control to score. That's the usual weakness for short players. Just like Shoyo Hinata now, if he hadn't developed such an incredible jump, he never would have made it as a wing spiker. Even so, small players like them were always at a disadvantage against taller opponents. What others could touch by just reaching, they had to leap for with everything they had. Though Tenma no longer played volleyball, the memories were still vivid. Hey! Tsukishima senpai. I think I get it now. Seeing Karasuno score again, Tenma turned excitedly to the person next to him, a spark of satisfaction in his eyes. The one your brother called amazing, it has to be No 7. With spikes like that, who could ever block him? SHH. Keep it down, Tenma. Akaidaru Tsukishima flinched, shrinking into his seat. He glanced around to make sure no one recognized them, then leaned in and whispered, and also, don't use my name out loud. Just call me Ao, okay? Tenma let out a helpless sigh. Tsukisha, I mean, Ao. The amazing goo why your brother talked about must be number 7, right? Probably. Akaidaru said uncertainly. I didn't ask for specifics at the time. But judging by what I'm seeing now, it's gotta be him. After all, on that Karasuno court, no one else even come close. While they were still talking, the first set between Karasuno and Inyabushi Higashi was drawing to a close. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review power stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 169, Chapter 169, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi. 5. Karasuno has already scored the first set, while Inyabushi Higashi on the opposite side only has 16 points. Now, the game on the court has reached its most critical moment. Just now, Inyabushi Higashi's multi-person attack was picked up solidly in the back row by Nishinoya, and the pass was right on target. Seeing the situation, Kageyama moved slightly, taking 2 quick steps to position himself perfectly beneath the ball. When the timing was right, he jumped. Right wing. Yasuke Fumizuki shouted, and the 3 players in their front row immediately dashed to the right wing of the net. And on this side it was Akira who was running. Boom. Akira, having reached the net, leapt high, and Yasuke Fumizuki and the others gritted their teeth and followed up to block. But the ball didn't come this way at all. Just as the ball reached Kageyama, he suddenly tipped it directly into Inyabushi Higashi's court. Tweet. The referee's whistle blew. Karasuno scores. The set is over. Karasuno wins the first set. Let's go. Keep up the momentum for the next one. On the other side, the atmosphere around Inyabushi Higashi was slightly tense. That number 7's spike. Kenta Yokoyama spoke hesitantly. Are we still going to try to block it? I don't think we can stop it. If we can't stop it, we still have to try. Yasuke Fumizuki suddenly said in a firm, low voice, startling Yokoyama beside him. Do you think we'll be able to catch no 7's spike if we just give up blocking him? That's just impossible. It'll only make us even more passive. Yeah. Kiyaki Daigo added, though hesitantly, no 7's jump reach is insane. Just now in the game, I tried my best to increase my block height a few times. But no matter how I adjusted, I always felt. His spikes were always a step above mine. I suspect that until now, he hasn't even revealed his full strength. It's like he's been holding back on purpose. Just to bait us into giving up on blocking him. Exactly. Yasuke Fumizuki's eyes narrowed, his voice serious as he continued, and didn't you all notice? In the previous matches, every team that gave up trying to block number 7 lost. So even if the decision is risky this time, we have to go for it. Because if we give up on him now, I honestly don't see any hope of winning. Why yet? Yokoyama hesitated, but still nodded in agreement. Because he genuinely didn't know how to play this game if they abandoned the net defense altogether. But even if we don't give up blocking him, we can change our strategy. Fumizuki's tone shifted, drawing everyone's attention. Back in the game, I noticed something. When we focused all our attention on number 7, Karasuno's setter kept pulling off unexpected plays. Like a surprise quick to the middle blocker, or an unexpected back row attack. Or even a second touch like that one. You mean? Daigo's eyes lit up, though he still looked uncertain. We shift our focus to him instead. Yes. Yasuke Fumizuki nodded firmly. Number 7 is incredibly strong, no doubt about it. But I think Karasuno is using his presence too well. It's like there's a lion sitting quietly, and you just have to watch him. Because if you look away, he becomes a deadly threat. But what's the reality? When Karasuno's number 7 was in the front row, less than half the points we lost were from his attacks. The rest came from the others. We were so focused on the lion we forgot about the wolves surrounding him, just as dangerous. That. Everyone on Inyabushi Higashi was momentarily stunned by his words. We may not be able to take down that terrifying lion just yet. But if we're only up against Karasuno's wolves, I believe in us. Yasuke Fumizuki swept his gaze around his teammates. We can still hold our own. Do you believe in yourselves? Yes. Haha. He chuckled, then continued, good. So, when Karasuno's number 7 is in the front row, we'll assign just one blocker to him. Even if he scores, don't let it shake you. And the other two should focus entirely on defending the rest of Karasuno's offense. Yes. The energy from Inyabushi Higashi is impressive. Looks like their captain gave one hell of a speech. From the stands, Tetsuro Kuro watched Inyabushi Higashi re-enter the court and spoke with interest. Yeah. Take Tora Yamamoto added with a grin, no matter how clever their tactics are, if they can't even block the spikes, they're done for. True. Nobuyuki Kai nodded as well. There's no way they can suddenly improve their physical strength in such a short time. So the moment they faced Karasuno today, they'd already lost. Does that mean? Lefheba asked tentatively, Karasuno is already in the top 4 in the country. Are they going to center court? Yeah. A gleam of anticipation flashed across Kai's face. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a Power Stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 170, Chapter 170, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi, 6, the national top 4. They can go there and compete. However, now that their opponent has been decided, right? Kuro scratched his head. Looks like they'll be facing in Arizaki High tomorrow. I don't know what the outcome of that match will be. In Arizaki. At the Mention of that team, everyone fell silent in unison. Their match had been the first one played at this venue. Everyone had seen with their own eyes just how strong they were. Even if the members of Nekoma were quite optimistic about Karasuno, no one dared to assert that Karasuno would be the one to win. I can only feel their presence. Kai hesitated for a moment before saying, I'm still more optimistic about Karasuno. Just as the others were about to respond, they suddenly heard an exclamation from Yamamoto in the back. Hey! There's news from the other court. The winner of the first match, it looks like Atakiyama Institute. What? Everyone from Nekoma turned to him in shock. Yamamoto scratched his head, looking a bit incredulous. Looks like the result came in just when Karasuno's match started, but I only just heard about it now. But, even though Atakiyama is really strong, it's still a bit hard to believe that Fukurodani actually lost to them. What was the score? What's the final score? Kuro asked quickly. Atakiyama 2:1 Fukurodani. In the final set, both sides pushed past 30 points. In the end, Atakiyama came out on top. Huh? Really? Kai said, puzzled, the match was that intense? Could it be that Bokuto got shut down? That shouldn't be it. I don't know the exact details, Yamamoto said helplessly. I'll have to ask when I see them again. Tomorrow, the Fukurodani guys should come to watch the center court match too, right? Yeah. Kuro nodded, also sounding a bit helpful. Given this year's brackets, Fukurodani had a real shot at reaching the final four. Man. Even if they had made it to the top four, they would have had to face Itakayama again in the semis. I think Itakayama had a high chance of winning that. So they'd still have to deal with Itakayama either way. They still wouldn't make it to the finals. But at the very least, the semifinals aren't the same as the quarterfinals. You get to play another match. Kuro scratched his head again. Who doesn't want to play on center court? Besides, if Bokuto had been in top form, even against Itakayama, they might have had a shot. That's true, Yamamoto nodded, recalling Fukurodani's and Itakayama's past records. But now they're out in the quarterfinals. What a pity. While the spectators chatted, the match on the court raged on. After Inyabushi Higashi adjusted their strategy, Kageyama and the others were surprised to find that many of their usual scoring patterns no longer worked. In the last set, whenever Akira was in the front row, the opposing defense would always focus on him. Whether the block was effective or not, that was still their approach. Before the second set started, the rest of Karasuno had been wondering whether Inyabushi Higashi would be like other teams and opt not to block Akira at all. But unexpectedly, they didn't give up on him. Instead, they adopted a compromise. They sent only one blocker to deal with Akira, while the other two focused on defending against everyone else. This shift significantly disrupted the kinds of offensive plays Kageyama usually preferred to set up. Smack. Sawamura's powerful spike was blocked cleanly by an Inyabushi Higashi blocker and slammed back onto Karasuno's side. Ugh. Kageyama frowned. Sore why, Sawamura-san. That point was my fault. Haha. No need for that. Daiichi chuckled and scratched his head. I just didn't adjust properly that time either. Kageyama turned to glance helplessly at Inyabushi Higashi's blockers. Even though Akira's spikes could still break through, the rest of their attacks were being shut down repeatedly. It wasn't a critical issue yet. But the variety in Karasuno's offense had clearly taken a hit. Can you keep going? Kageyama turned with concern and asked Akira. He was starting to feel like Karasuno's scoring from here on out would depend almost entirely on Akira's attacks. Huh. Akira blinked at him. Keep going, what? Forget I asked. As soon as the words left his mouth, Kageyama realized how dumb the question was. After all the matches they'd played, no one had ever seen this guy run out of stamina. Even in that high-frequency showdown with Shirei Terizawa, he hadn't shown a hint of fatigue. Looks like Inyabushi Higashi has changed tactics. They're clearly targeting Karasuno's offensive structure. Uday Tenma watched the court with interest. It's a shame. No matter how much they shift their tactics, the difference in strength isn't something that can be erased so easily. Akira Tsukishima smiled a little sheepishly. In other words, after today, my little brother's gonna be in the national top 4 too. I still can't believe it. That guy doesn't even like volleyball that much. Is that so? Uday glanced in surprise at Tsukishima on the QRT. A guy who doesn't even like volleyball. By the way, their opponent tomorrow is the team from Hyogo Prefecture, right? The one that won the earlier match. He seemed to have just remembered something. Yeah. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps this story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review power stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 171, Chapter 171, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi, 7. Speaking of this, Akira Tsukishima also frowned. The twins on their team are really strong. Well, that's to be expected. Uday Tenma said with a solemn expression, Inarizaki has always been a strong school in Hyogo Prefecture. It's just that during our time, they had a bit of a slump. Looking at their current momentum, though, they must have risen back up a long time ago. In other words, Itakayama and Fukurodani are truly evergreen in the high school volleyball world. Hearing this, Akira Tsukishima sighed slightly and said, I've hardly ever seen them absent from nationals. Itakayama is constantly winning championships. Except for a few surprises, most of the titles go to them. Hopefully. I hope Karasuno can win the championship just once this year. Even if it's only once, I'd be satisfied. This sentiment lingered between the two of them. Yeah. Uday Tenma added, eyes filled with expectation, I wonder if the two of us will live to see that day. Smack. Left wing. At Akira's crisp call, Karasuno's three front row players moved in unison. They directly blocked Inyabushi Higashi's off-the-net attack. Inyabushi Higashi's signature tactic was broken once again. When facing Akira, the haze that normally veiled their play seemed to be completely seen through. Not a trace of concealment remained. The once dazzling attacks now felt flash-high but hollow. If an attack doesn't score, even the trickiest moves are meaningless. Wham! Karasuno scores. Their score is now approaching 20. After Inyabushi Higashi switched to this new tactic, Karasuno's scoring rate had only increased. Because before, Hen Kageyama said to others, the opponents could often still manage to receive it. But after Inyabushi Higashi altered their strategy, Kageyama began setting to Akira even more. And trying to stop Akira's spikes with only the three back row defenders. That was nearly impossible. Not to mention, the three blockers in front were constantly interfering with their line of sight and reception. So not only did Karasuno's scoring not slow down, it actually accelerated. Ugh. This is self-sabotage by Inyabushi Higashi, said Ren Omimai from the stands, shaking his head helplessly. If they'd already decided not to stop number 7, they should have just committed to that, ignore him and focus their block on the rest of Karasuno. But now, they're spreading their defense thin, putting one blocker on number 7 and 2 on the others. They can't stop number 7, and now they're letting balls from the others get through too. It's really just. He trailed off, unable to finish his thought. It's fine either way, Atsumomiya said, brushing his hand over his face. No matter how they play, they're going to lose. I actually remember this team. This is exactly how they lost to Shiratorizawa during Spring High last time. Huh. Everyone around turned to look at him. So they lost to Shiratorizawa back then. Aaron Ajiro said, realization dawning. Yeah, Etsuma shrugged. They couldn't handle Ushijima's spikes and tried all sorts of tactical changes, but in the end, none of them worked. No matter how refined your system is, if you don't have the individual power to back it up, it all falls apart. And now, facing Karasuno from Miyagi again, they've ended up like this. It's a bit ironic. I don't even know what to say. Smack. A ferocious spike slammed into Tsukishima's blocky NG hand, but the ball didn't drop to the floor. Instead, it soared high behind him. One touch. Hinata shouted. Leave it to me. Nishinoya grinned and dove, cleanly digging the ball. Kageyama leapt and set the ball. The front row trio immediately moved. One of Inyabushi Higashi's blockers focused tightly on Hinata, while the other two zeroed in on Daichi and Asahi. But Kageyama's set didn't go to any of them. Instead, he sent the ball soaring to Akira, who was leaping in the back row. Boom! A furious back row attack exploded straight into Inyabushi Higashi's court. Wham! Karasuno scores again. And now, they're at set point. Karasuno 24:15 Inyabushi Higashi. In the rotation, Tsukishima returned to the front row. Tweet. The referee's whistle blew. Karasuno to serve. Across the net, Yasuke Fumizuki and the others stared nervously at Daichi, who was preparing to serve. If they fumbled this point, they'd lose the set. Smack. Daichi's serve sailed steadily toward Inyabushi Higashi's back row. But as it passed over the front line, it suddenly dipped on the verge of falling short. Yokoyama lunged forward and saved it. Coming. Fumizuki quickly moved under the ball and jumped to set it. Left wing. Seeing the direction of the set, Tsukishima's brows furrowed. At his sharp call, the three Karasuno blockers shifted rapidly toward the left wing. But as they leapt, they realized too late they'd been duped. Damn! A one-man time difference attack. Perfectly disguised by Inyabushi Higashi. Just as Karasuno's block began to fall, they could only watch the ball fly past them. Smack! But behind them, Akira was already in position as if he'd known it would come. He dug the ball cleanly. However, it wasn't very high. And it was close. No chance to send it up front. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 172, Chapter 172, Karasuno vs Inyabushi Higashi, 8. However, at this moment, Kageyama was right by his side. Crunch. No rally, just a direct explosive spike. Bang. When everyone on Inyabushi Higashi failed to react, the ball slammed directly into their court. Creak. Karasuno scores. The match is over. Superb. Kageyama. We won. Yay. Center court. Here we come. Wow. Setter's violent spike. What a perfect fit. The two commentators exclaimed excitedly. Karasuno's setter, Kageyama-san, ended today's incredible match with a spike that left everyone stunned. Let's congratulate Karasuno High School. With their overwhelming strength, they've qualified for the semifinals of the Final Four. At the same time, today's matches in our stadium are finished. The afternoon winners are Hyogo Prefecture's Inarizaki High School. And the representative from Miyagi Prefecture, Karasuno High School. Let's congratulate them again. And I also hope these two teams can fully unleash their power in tomorrow's match. Play your style. Everyone. See you tomorrow on center court. Sigh. It turned out to be another defeat at the hands of the Miyagi team. And in such a similar way. Yasuke Fumizuki sat on the ground, chuckling to himself with a helpless tone. He looked toward the jubilant figures on the opposite side of the net, and his vision blurred slightly. It was like returning to the day when Hero's journey ended. Don't be discouraged. Yasuke. Tetsuya Harada said with some concern from the side. Discouraged. Yasuke froze for a moment, then shook his head. I'm not discouraged. Not at all. Even now, I haven't the slightest doubt about the path I've taken. He stood up and patted Harada on the shoulder. Then he slowly walked toward the sidelines. Harada. You have to remember. Not everyone has such a strong body and talent. Some people will never be able to jump as high as Karasuno's number 7 for their entire lives. It's like, you and me. Refined and powerful tactics are the only weapons us mediocre players have to fight those geniuses. They're the knife and sword in our hands. The spear and shield. Never doubt that. Inyabushi Higashi. National Tournament. Stopped at the quarter-finals. Hey. Ryu. Didn't expect to see you. I came to see you. Just as the Karasuno team was leaving the stadium, a familiar voice called out. Looking over, Tanaka said with disbelief, huh? Sister. You, what are you doing here? Didn't you say you've been busy lately? Ha ha ha. Of course I'm free now. Saiko Tanaka came over laughing, ruffling Ryunoshuke's shaved head vigorously. Didn't expect it? I heard you looked upper strong this morning. When I get back home, I'm definitely watching the video. Ahaha. Hearing this, Ryu laughed proudly. That's right. Just go and enjoy it. Hello, big sis Saiko. Nishinoya also hurriedly greeted from the side. Haha. Nishinoya. You've gotten handsome lately. Big sis Saiko, you're also looking great. In terms of confidence and courage, Saiko had always been Nishinoya's admired figure. With Saiko joining them, everyone followed the flow of people, heading out of The Stadium. Didn't expect you kids to actually make it into the national top 4. As they walked, Saiko said to Tanaka, what? I'm saying I'm impressed. Saiko added. Tanaka said with some dissatisfaction, our goal this time is the championship. Haha. That's good. Saiko smiled proudly, worthy of being my younger brother. I'll be at center court tomorrow to cheer for you. Then, just as they left the venue, they suddenly encountered a group carrying large and small cameras. Wow! The host of that late night show in Tokyo. Didn't expect to meet her here. Everyone from Karasuno immediately began to whisper among themselves. Hello, are you Mr. Itatsu Takeda, head coach of Karasuno High School? Oh, yes. Itatsu Takeda, clearly inexperienced with this kind of scene, involuntarily grew nervous facing the intimidating camera lenses. Hearing Takeda's affirmative answer, the female host looked slightly pleased. May I do a short interview with the players behind you? It won't take long, just a few minutes. The interview will be broadcast on Tokyo Sports TV. Well. Takeda glanced back at Kaishin Yukai behind him. The competition officials said in the meeting that individual interviews like this are allowed. Yukai shrugged. Takeda then looked back at the many team members behind him, and seeing the excitement in their eyes, he sighed helplessly. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a Power Stone. Your support helps this story reach more awesome readers and keeps The updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 173, Chapter 173, Tiny Giant. Immediately, he said to the people from the TV station in front of him, "All right then. But we don't have much time." "I understand. We'll do it as quickly as possible." Hearing Itatsu Takeda's response, the host's eyes lit up, and she quickly made her way toward the Karasuno crowd, followed by a few crew members. "I never imagined this." Kaishin Yukai scratched his head in surprise. "One day, we'll be the ones getting interviewed by Tokyo Sports Channel." "Well, that honor should go to Todai's winning team," Takeda said with some hesitation. "After all, they're already in the top 4. Any of these teams could still win the championship." While everyone at Karasuno was being interviewed, Uday Tenma and the sneaky Akitaru Tsukishima were slipping away from their seats. "Phew. It's already so late, and we're just leaving. You're not going to let us run into my brother and the others, right?" Looking ahead, Akitaru Tsukishima kept his eyes fixed forward, while Uday Tenma chuckled. "Tsukishima-senpai, are you really that scared that your brother will find out you came to the match? If it was me, I'd be happy you came to cheer." "Ugh. I don't want that either." Akitaru sighed helplessly. "But Kei said, don't come to my matches and don't let me caught you. When he's angry, that look is seriously scary." By now, the crowd inside the stadium had thinned out, and the players had likely left early. So Akitaru Tsukishima wasn't worried about running into anyone from Karasuno. He took off his mask and sunglasses. "Phew. This thing is unbearable to wear for so long. Good thing Kei didn't see me this afternoon. When we get to center court tomorrow, there'll definitely be way too many people. Then I won't have to worry about this anymore. Ha ha ha." Hearing that, Uday Tenma laughed. It was the first time he'd seen his brother so afraid of his own brother. "Hey. You're not, that." But just as the two were walking out of the venue, they suddenly heard a shocked voice in front of them. "Huh?" Uday Tenma and Akitaru Tsukishima looked up. A girl with short blonde hair was staring at them in disbelief. Next to her was Karasuno's coach. And a group of Karasuno players who had just finished their interview. "Hinata. Come look. This is the little giant you've always admired." Saiko Tanaka patted Hinata's shoulder excitedly. Her words caught the attention of everyone nearby. Everyone knew the reason Hinata chose volleyball was because he saw a TV broadcast when he was a kid. At that time, Karasuno's little giant was competing on the national stage. Hinata was inspired by his figure and that led him to volleyball. Later, he joined Karasuno. And when Saiko Tanaka sent Hinata and Kageyama to Tokyo for training, she once revealed, the little giant back then was on the same grade as her. Unexpectedly, he actually met him here today. Huh. But when Akitaru turned his head, he suddenly frowned. Because the person he was referring to, the figure shrinking and walking backward, seemed inexplicably familiar. "Brother." Without thinking, Akitaru said it outright. "Ah." Everyone clearly saw the figure lower his head and tremble as he walked backward. "Ha ha. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet you here." Akitaru scratched his head and turned around, awkwardly smiling after being caught, and said in a flustered tone, Ha ha. I just happened to pass by today. I didn't think you'd actually be competing in the stadium. How's it going? Did you win or lose?" "Whoa. This is actually Tsukishima's brother." For everyone at Karasuno, today's post-match shocks kept coming one after another. On the other side, he's Karasuno's number 10 who left after his second year. Saiko Tanaka pointed at Uday Tenma and said loudly. Uday scratched his head, a little embarrassed. "Ha ha. Saiko and I are basically classmates." "Wow. Nice to meet you, little giant senpai." Hinata rushed forward to Uday Tenma in one quick move. I'm Shoyo Hinata. I started playing volleyball because I saw you're fighting in air against the blocker above the block on TV. Huh. Uday Tenma was a bit stunned. Then he scratched his head and smiled. That time. It feels really nostalgic. May I ask which team Little Giant Senpai is with now? Are you in a college team? Or have you gone pro? V-League. I've checked and asked around, but I still couldn't find you. Hinata's barrage of questions came like a cannon blast. Haha. Uday Tenmo laughed twice and said, I don't play volleyball anymore. After all, I have other things I want to pursue, so I stopped playing after graduating high school. And the team cut contact very early on. Huh. Hinata's expression showed disbelief. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power ST1s. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushin. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 174, Chapter 174, Studying Opponents. K. Don't you believe me? I really just happened to pass by here today. Kate Tsukishima watched his brother's persistent presence with cold eyes. Yes. But how did you know I was competing today? I remember I didn't tell you. This. Akitaru Tsukishima scratched his head awkwardly. Haha. I saw it on TV. I just happened to have something nearby, so. Humph. Come on. I can't take you seriously. Tsukishima snorted coldly. But there's no need to be so sneaky next time. Hey. I know, Kay. Don't be angry. What's wrong? Disappointed. That evening, in Karasuno's conference room. After parting with Uday Tenma and the others in the afternoon, everyone from Karasuno had returned here. None at all. Hinata sat next to Kageyama, resting his head on the table, looking distracted. Actually, I had this feeling when I couldn't find his team. I just didn't expect it to be true today. Ahem. Is everyone here? While everyone was chatting, Yukai's voice suddenly came from outside the door. Tonight, our main task is to study tomorrow's opponent, in Arizaki High. I believe everyone has already watched their game today. Let's start with your impressions. The first to speak was Sawamura. Their setter is very strong. In today's game, I saw several particularly low passes, but Utsunomiya consistently delivered accurate upper hand sets. In the past, the SE ultra-low balls were usually met with lower hand passes. Yes. Sugawara added seriously from the side, and Aaron Ajiro. He's worthy of being one of the country's top 5 aces. His spikes are incredibly powerful. We must pay special attention tomorrow. Yes. Hearing their remarks, Yukai nodded silently and continued, not just those two. The rest of Inarizaki is also extremely threatening. But these two stand out the most, that's certain. Yukai glanced down at his notebook and continued, the focus of tomorrow's game will be their ace, Aaron Ajiro. Looking at their past matches, if he's allowed to play at full strength, he becomes terrifying. Therefore, targeting him specifically will give us a significant advantage. The coach means. Sawamura hesitated. Try to cut down on his attacks. Yes. Yukai nodded firmly. Unlike Shiratorizawa's Ushijima, Ajiro participates in serve-receive. If we can serve and block him a few more times than usual, it will make a big difference. And once he starts getting frustrated, Inarizaki's offense will weaken considerably. When blocking at the net, we must stop him a few more times. Can you do it, Akira? As he spoke, Yukai turned his gaze to Akira. Seeing everyone looking at him, Akira thought for a moment and then said, "No problem. I've seen them play, although both Ajiro and Bokuto are top-5 aces in the country. They're different types of attackers. In some ways, there's a gap between them. After some time in the game, as long as I'm in the front row, I won't let his spikes get through." Very good. Yukai smiled inwardly. So, about Inarizaki's lineup. He continued flipping through his notebook. Pay attention also to their captain Shinsuke Kida. He's always been a mysterious figure to us. I looked for videos of Inarizaki's matches this year, but found nothing. Huh. Everyone was surprised. As the team captain, he didn't play all year. Yes. Yukai nodded. I believe he's not just a substitute. After all, someone who serves as captain for a strong traditional school like Inarizaki must have something powerful about him. If he suddenly plays tomorrow, I want everyone to be prepared. Yes. Next, some other points to watch. Meanwhile, in Inarizaki's lounge, a similar scene was unfolding. Coach Kurosu was showing video footage. Well, did you find any problems? This. Michinari Akagi said hesitantly, what's going on with Akira's spikes? Why did Shiratorizawa's defense keep breaking down? As a libero, he had an extremely keen sense for receiving. Watching the Karasuno vs Shiratorizawa match footage, Akagi immediately noticed something unusual. After his comment, others quickly saw the irregularity too. Yes. These spikes don't seem that scary. Could it be Shiratorizawa's own mistake? I don't think so. Shiratorizawa is well aware. How could they make such a basic error? First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel. I'm in Westview Town. Naruto. I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 175, Chapter 175, Upset Ahem. You all got the point. At that moment, Norimune Kurosu suddenly spoke from the side. What I want you to see today is their ace Akira's spike. In tomorrow's game, he's their biggest threat to us. I'm sure you noticed for yourselves, in the match between Karasuno and Shiratorizawa, his spikes forced Shiratorizawa to make frequent receptions. However, in the matches since Karasuno entered the Nationals, we haven't seen him use this kind of attack. Kurosu cleared his throat lightly and looked around at everyone in the lounge. Do you think this is a coincidence? Hearing this, everyone in Inarizaki exchanged looks. It should be. Shouldn't it? Etsumamiya spoke with some hesitation. Could it be that he was hiding his strength before? What Miya said makes some sense. Kurosu nodded, stood up, and walked to the front of everyone. Don't get your hopes up just because of your own chances. In my opinion, Shiratorizawa catching his spike repeatedly was definitely no mistake. It has to be a spiking skill unique to that player. As for this idea of hidden strength, I don't believe it's true. In the previous matches, the reason he didn't use this technique, I think, it's because he didn't think it was necessary. After all, in their group stage, Karasuno has always won very easily. No team could stop his spike, in fact. There were even several teams beaten by him who gave up blocking altogether. As Kurosu said this, the team members all felt the truth of his words. After all, they just watched Karasuno's match yesterday. But if he does use it, how are we going to handle it? Michinari Akagi asked hesitantly. Well, Kurosu hesitated. From what I've observed, Akira's spike is very similar to someone we know. Upon hearing this, Akagi's eyes suddenly lit up. You mean Kiyomi Sakusa? Yes. Kurosu nodded heavily. It makes the ball fly in an inexplicable way. I suspect there's that strange spinning force in his spike. Such a spike made Shiratorizawa struggle to deal with him. If that's the case, Akagi said confidently, after getting used to it for a while, I can handle his spike. Very good. Kurosu stepped forward and patted Akagi on the shoulder, then turned his gaze to the OT-hers present. Not just Akagi, the rest of you need to get used to his kind of spike. Of course, if anything unexpected happens tomorrow, just signal me on the court. I'll call a timeout, and everyone will come down to discuss it together. Make sure tomorrow's game is foolproof. Yes. Just as they were laying out their tactics, the door to the lounge suddenly opened from outside. The team supervisor suddenly walked in. Upset. When he said that, everyone was stunned. What, upset? Seeing everyone's reaction, he cleared his throat twice and said in a heavy voice, this afternoon's game. Upset. Itaki Yama was stopped in the quarterfinals. By Mijinazaka. What? At the same time, inside Karasuno's lounge. What did you say? Itaki Yama, the top favorite to win the championship, lost. That's right. Since Itaki Yama's main player, the setter Tsukasa Izuna, was injured in the second game, they were overturned by Mijinazaka. And then lost the whole match. Hearing this news, everyone in Karasuno couldn't calm down for a long time. Before the game, the team everyone talked about most was Itaki Yama. Almost everyone thought that this year's champion should still be them. Almost everyone believed they deserved to be called the uncrowned kings. And now, Itaki Yama. Doesn't that mean they are the strongest team? Unexpectedly, they just lost like that. Ahem. Just as Kaishin Yokai was about to say something excitedly, he heard Hinata shouting loudly beside him, in that case, if we make it to the final, won't we have a great opponent? Kageyama also said firmly beside him, that's right. There's no final without the strongest. Even if you win, it wouldn't feel satisfying. As soon as these words came out, several people around them looked at the two with some disbelief. Sugawara couldn't help but complain, we haven't even played the semifinals yet. Where did you two get such confused confidence from? And winning the final? Isn't that jumping way ahead? Yokai also said a little angrily, you two. Where do you get this nerve? Focus properly on tomorrow's game. If anyone drops the ball tomorrow, don't blame me for putting in a substitute. Yes. Especially you two. Don't let me catch you discussing the final S again during the game. Yes. Got it? That's better. Yokai took a deep breath, then said loudly, now. Get some rest. Recharge your spirits. Tomorrow's first match is ours. Center court. Waiting for you. Yes. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review power stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 176, Chapter 176, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 1, the next day, inside center court. Wow! Is this center court? So big. So beautiful. Exclamations spilled non-stop from Hinata's mouth. He spun around, marveling at the grand venue and the ascending layers of the auditorium. Bang! He was so engrossed in looking around that he suddenly bumped into Kageyama behind him. Immediately, Kageyama smacked him on the head. Ugh! That hurts. Next time, watch where you're going, dumbass. Not long after they walked in, they ran into Nekoma's group, who had arrived especially early that day. Hey! Have you seen the Fukurodani guys? Kuro's eyes lit up as he stepped forward and asked. Nope. Haven't seen them since we parted ways yesterday afternoon, Daichi replied, puzzled. Logically, they should be here to watch today's match. But they still hadn't shown up. Hey. Did you guys miss me? Speak of the devil. Just as they were wondering, a familiar voice rang out behind them. Bokuto. Everyone turned to look, and sure enough, the Fukurodani group was strolling in from the gymnasium entrance. I thought you'd gone missing. Kuro teased with a grin as he greeted Daichi and the others. What happened in yesterday's match? Something go wrong? Well. As soon as the match was brought up, Bokuto scratched his head, looking a bit embarrassed. In yesterday's tiebreaker, Bokuto senpai Akashi began to speak but was immediately cut off as Bokuto whipped his head around. Ha ha ha. Akashi. Let's not bring that up now, okay? There are so many people here. Let me save some face, don't need to embarrass me. Akashi sighed helplessly and closed his mouth. Then Bokuto pounded his chest again, suddenly excited. Still, I'm feeling much better now. After watching the later match, I didn't feel so bad. Sakusa, that bastard, actually lost his match. That really cheered me up. Kuro sighed too. He'd expected this. Bokuto's mood swings come and go fast. Even if something did happen in yesterday's game, he wasn't the type to let it carry over to today. Judging by Akashi's reaction, Bokuto had probably made another blunder in the final tiebreaker. Alright. Let's go. Since we're early, let's hurry up and grab good seats. Otherwise, they'll all be gone soon. Yeah. Bokuto scratched his head. Is Karasuno playing in the first match? They should be warming up now, alright. That's right. Daichi nodded firmly. Then we'll head to our seats. Good luck out there. We'll be cheering from the stands. As time passed, more and more spectators flooded into center court. Minutes before the match began, the massive stadium was already packed to the brim. The TV broadcast had also begun. This match was attracting attention from all sides. Hello, viewers. Today, we bring you live coverage of the Inter-High National Volleyball Tournament. The men's semifinals. Amid the enthusiastic voices of the two commentators, the first match's teams Karasuno and Inarizaki began entering the court. On Inarizaki's side was their enormous banner, "We don't need memories," and on Karasuno's side, their message was concise and powerful, "F. Lee." Players from both teams stared each other down. Please take care of us. Meanwhile. Inarizaki? Inarizaki. From the Inarizaki stands came thunderous cheers. Everyone turned to look. Their cheerleaders were dressed in matching uniforms, their voices booming. They even had an impressive array of large instruments. Drum kits, tubas, trombones, harps. It was practically a full-blown orchestra. And the giant flag reading Inarizaki High School waved proudly above them. On the other hand, Karasuno's side also had loud cheers. But they weren't as coordinated. Most of Karasuno's supporters were fans who had come spontaneously. Unlike Inarizaki, they didn't have an official school-organized cheer squad. Coach Yokai sighed from the coach's area. Takeda-sensei. We came all the way to Tokyo for this, and the school didn't send anyone. Ah. Well. Takeda looked a bit embarrassed. I did reach out to the school beforehand, and they did want to come support us. But even though the school agreed to cover travel and lodging for the cheer squad, it's still hard to organize. It's summer break, after all. If we want students to come, they'd have to volunteer. And we can't just take over their vacation time. Besides, this is our first time reaching nationals. We don't have much of a fan base among the student body. I see. Yokai understood what he meant. He sighed again. Right. That makes sense. For a powerhouse school like Inarizaki, they naturally have a lot of supporters. But at our school, the volleyball team's been down for so long. Coach Yokai, please don't worry. Takeda interrupted with a firm voice. After this tournament, I believe things will change. I'm sure next time we come to Tokyo, our supporters will include a cheer squad just as strong as theirs. As the two continued talking, the players on court gradually took their positions. Once the referee confirmed the jersey numbers, the whistle blew. The match had officially begun. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel. I'm in Westview Town. Naruto. I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 177, Chapter 177, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 2, bonus chapter. In today's game, the first to serve was Inarizaki. And in their rotation, the first to step up was the second-year setter Itsumiya. As a top-tier player, Itsumu excelled not only in setting but also in serving. Having mastered both the jump float serve and the powerful jump serve, he had become a major threat that teams struggled to counter. At Karasuno's strategy meeting the previous evening, Akira had brought up Itsumi's serves. Because he used both types, it was hard to predict which one he would use before he hit the ball. But Akira had noticed a detail. It was and the number of steps Itsumu took after crossing the back line. If he took 4 steps, it meant a jump float serve. If it was 6 steps, it was the powerful jump serve. So at this moment, everyone on Karasuno was watching Itsumu's footwork with bated breath. 6 steps. It's the powerful jump serve. Then, standing outside the back line, Itsumu raised his left fist into the air. In the stands, Inarizaki's cheerleaders' drums, chants, and cheers all fell silent in an instant. So cool, Hinata murmured, eyes witty with excitement as he watched the scene. Before anyone could react, Etsumu tossed the ball high into the air. He took off. A full-speed approach. And then boom. The serve crashed straight into Karasuno's back row. The ball exploded between Daiichi Sawamura and Asahi Azumina. Etsumu. Service ace. Inarizaki takes the first point. Whoa. What an insane serve. Everyone on Karasuno stared in disbelief. Even though they'd faced powerful jump serves from both Akira and Kageyama in practice, the sheer force behind this one still caught them off guard. Ha! Don't panic. Next one's mine. Nishinoya held his breath and locked his eyes on Etsumu across the court. During team training, they had frequently received jump serves from both Akira and Kageyama. Thanks to that rigorous training, their serve reception had improved significantly. That last one? It just caught him off guard. If he got another shot at it, even if it wasn't perfect, he was confident he could receive it cleanly. As Etsumu stepped back for his second serve, the Inarizaki cheerleaders roared to life again from the stands. Inarizaki? Let's go, Etsumu. One more. Creak. Back at the service line, Etsumu gave Karasuno's formation a quick glance and, after the referee's signal, prepared for his second serve. Another 6 steps. The entire Karasuno side watched him, eyes sharp and focused. Boom. Another devastating jump serve. At the critical moment, Nishinoya lunged left. Smack. He received it. And the ball flew with perfect control, sailing toward Kageyama. Swish. Kageyama stepped in, positioned under the ball, and sent it flying with a lightning-fast set. Right wing. Inarizaki's front line immediately responded. At the net stood Rintaro Suna, Osamu Miya, and Ren Omimai. They jumped to block Akira's spike. Stop him, shouted Suna. Aside from Itsumu's service ace, this was the first real clash between the two sides. The importance of this point was crystal clear. If they could shut it down, it would give Inarizaki a huge boost in momentum. They'd seen Akira's spikes before, brutally strong. But who here didn't have pride? Even if his spike was powerful, what of it? Without trying, how would they know if they couldn't block it? With that resolve, the 3 blockers launched themselves upward. And Akira, seeing the triple block in front of him, pushed even harder in the air, accelerating with everything he had. Boom! The ball tore through the air, blasting past the triple block as if it didn't exist. Inarizaki's back row had no time to react. The ball slammed into the court before they could even move. In the instant before it hit, they could clearly see the volleyball flatten against the floor under the force of impact. For a second, it looked like it might explode. Boom! It wasn't until the ball bounced high into the air that the deafening sound reached their ears. Creak. While some of them were still stunned, the referee's whistle cut through the gym. Karasuno scores. Unbelievable. A crushing spike from Akira has shattered Inarizaki's ironclad defense. That was absolutely stunning. In the first exchange of the match, Akira delivers a huge momentum shift for Karasuno. Inarizaki will need to step it up from here. As the announcers' voices rang out, the Karasuno supporters erupted with cheers. In the last few matches, Akira's electrifying plays had won over a huge number of fans. Many had feared that against a powerhouse like Inarizaki, Akira might not be able to keep up the kind of dominance he'd shown before, steamrolling past every challenge. But to their surprise, that spike was possibly even more brutal than any he'd landed in previous games. Akira. So cool. That was awesome. Even Bokuto's keeping an eye on you. Though Karasuno's cheers weren't as synchronized as Inarizaki's, they didn't lose in sheer energy and spirit. Well, though there were a few strange voices mixed in. This guy. Was he holding back the last few days? Suna rubbed his stinging wrist, eyes fixed on Akira across the net. Right now, he couldn't help but wonder. Was this guy the same kind of heavy artillery attacker as Wakatoshi Ushijima or Wakatsu Kiryu? It's fine, Omimai said calmly, trying to reassure him. That kind of explosive spike is probably just for morale. No one can keep that up the whole game, not even Iron Man. Whew. Suna let out a breath. Let's hope you're right. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 178, Chapter 178, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 3, Creek. After Inarizaki lost the point, the serve went to Karasuno's side. Hinata in the back row held his breath and focused. As he walked to the service line, he heard the shouts of the Inarizaki cheerleaders from across the court. Out of bounds. Definitely out of bounds. Is this how they cheer for the opposing server? Takeda stood outside the court, slightly stunned. At the same time, several uninformed spectators in the stands began to murmur. These kids from Inarizaki really don't know the spirit of sportsmanship. Yeah, this kind of behavior seems to go against the spirit of fair play, doesn't it? Cheering to mess with the opposing server? I've never seen cheerleading like this before. Man. Watching the situation unfold, Yukai couldn't help but sigh. They use silence to keep their own servers calm. And they greet their opponents with noise and deliberate interference. Inarizaki's infamous Demon Cheer Squad definitely living up to their name. What? Have they always had this kind of reputation? Takeda couldn't help but turn to ask. Yes. Yukai nodded firmly. Almost every team that plays against them gets targeted by their cheer squad. And what's even more bizarre? He rubbed his chin, wearing a strange expression. When Inarizaki's own players underperform, their cheerleaders even yell at them. But when the opposing team plays really well, sometimes they switch sides and start cheering for the other team. In one of their previous matches, Inarizaki was leading by 6 points and had match point, but their opponents came back and won. At that point, their players were nearly booed off the court by their own fans. That's... Takeda looked dumbfounded. He'd never heard of such bizarre cheering tactics before. And... Yukai glanced at the densely packed musical instruments in the Inarizaki cheering section and said with a serious expression, I'm afraid this isn't even the full extent of their methods. Inarizaki's cheer squad tried to throw off Hinata's serve with their disruptive chants. But Hinata, who had nerves of steel, didn't react in the slightest. For him, even if the world was collapsing around him, he would still focus on hitting the ball in front of him. Smack. A clean serve flew straight to Inarizaki's back row. Akagi, the libero, received the ball with ease. Etsumiya quickly moved into position beneath the falling ball. As he set up, the three front row players also sprang into action. This time, Etsumi chose the spiker Osamu Miya. Seeing that, Akira and the other blockers across the net quickly tracked the movement. Faced with the high blocking wall that Karasuno formed instantly, Osamu was momentarily stunned. But Etsumi's set had already been launched. He didn't have time to hesitate. Boom! Osamu's spike crashed against Akira's arms at the net. No matter if the hit went cross or straight, it was completely shut down. Inarizaki's first attack failed. Karasuno scored again. Now the score was Karasuno 2:1 Inarizaki. After losing the first point to Itsumu's serve, Karasuno had reclaimed the lead. The momentum on the court had clearly shifted to their side. Sorry. Osamu's voice was a little low. That last ball really shouldn't have been blocked. It's fine. Itsumu came over and patted his shoulder in reassurance. Didn't we already talk about it before the match? That Akira isn't just an offensive threat, his blocking and defense are top tier too. Let's focus on the next point. As they spoke, the referee's whistle sounded. Karasuno to serve again. Out of bounds. Out of bounds. Definitely out of bounds. As Hinata stepped up to serve again, the Inarizaki cheer squad's shouting resumed. Hearing that noise, everyone on Karasuno's side couldn't help but frown at the same time. Even though they weren't the ones serving this time, that buzzing, fly-like noise was really grating. But thankfully, Hinata was completely unaffected. Smack. His serve shot straight, but was safely received by Inarizaki's back row. At the same moment, the entire Inarizaki team moved. This time, Itsumu passed the ball right alongside his brother Osamu. The two looked nearly identical, causing a moment of confusion among the defenders across the net. Watch out! Just as the blockers were thrown off, Itsumu's set was already in the air. And Osamu leapt into the attack. Smack! A clean spike point scored. Inarizaki tied it back up. There it is. The famous Mia twins of high school volleyball. One's the team's starting setter, the other's the receiver. Their synergy is second to none. That was their signature time difference attack. Even after falling slightly behind early on, Inarizaki is showing no signs of backing down. With the score tied, who will take the next point? So this is what a top-level setter can do. The combination play had clearly stunned Karasuno's players. The Mia twins really do live up to their reputation. Creak. The referee's whistle blew again. Osamu rotated to Inarizaki's back row to serve. At the same time, their ace, Aaron Ajiro, rotated to the front row. Boom. Osamu's jump serve was explosive, but Karasuno had been anticipating it and managed to receive it smoothly. Crunch. Kageyama took off diagonally. With a dragonfly light back set, the ball that initially looked like it was headed for Akira was instead sent to Tsukishima behind him. Inarizaki's blockers were completely thrown off by the unexpected switch. All their focus had been locked onto Akira. Kageyama's set took them entirely by surprise. But at that critical moment, Suna deployed near the sideline reacted. He jumped and rushed toward the path of Tsukishima's spike. Crap. Seeing this, the hearts of the Karasuno players clenched. Just when it seemed the ball would be blocked, Tsukishima suddenly adjusted his timing. Smack. He gently tapped the ball off Suna's arm, and it dropped cleanly outside the sideline. Tool touch out of bounds. Karasuno scores. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fan fiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 179, Chapter 179, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 4, Snap. After landing on the ground, Suna couldn't help but sway slightly. From Kageyama's sudden shift in his set to Tsukishima's change in offensive rhythm. The two rapid changes in attack just now nearly made him cough up blood from the discomfort. But in the end, he still couldn't stop Tsukishima's attack. Now, Karasuno is in the lead again, up by 3 points. What a passionate game. 1 point for you, 1 point for Emmy. Sitting in the spectator stands, eyes shining as he watched the game unfold on the court. Seeing their expressions, I really can't wait to get on the court and play a few matches myself. Humph. What's the rush? Kaisukyonomi, sitting beside him, snorted in disdain. Just wait, it'll be our turn soon. Attack. Offense. Left wing. The front row blockers of Karasuno surged forward immediately. And this time, it was the secondary attacker Suna who jumped to spike right at the net. Facing a double block, his attack took everyone by surprise. Smack. His upper body bent sharply at an odd angle, while his lower body remained almost completely still. The result, his spike came from a bizarre angle. Smack. It slammed right past the edge of the block. Creak. Point for Inarizaki. Phew. It's not the first time. This player's spike is just like the data shows. Watching the play unfold, Itatsu Takeda couldn't help but look a little worried. Yeah. Yukai scratched his head. His waist flexibility is unreal. Based on past footage of Inarizaki's matches, his lateral attack range is downright terrifying. If most players can only attack at an angle of 20 to 30 degrees laterally, then he's got at least 60 degrees. And he can switch it up at will. His expression turned serious. In this kind of match, the hardest attacks to deal with aren't necessarily the most powerful or the highest jumps. It's the ones that constantly change. Because no matter how strong an attack is, over time the defense will adapt. Just like Ushijima's left-handed spikes. But if the attack style keeps changing, the opponent has no time to adjust. Akira's spinning spike, and this guy's ultra-wide lateral range. They both fall into that category. Creak. Watching Inarizaki's server across the net, everyone on Karasuno instinctively lowered their stance. Ever since reaching nationals, the further they advanced, the more they could feel the serves just kept getting stronger. And faster. Bang. No time to préparer. As soon as the referee blew the whistle, Suna had already launched his serve. Smack. Damn it. It's a little off. Faced with a slightly off pass, Kageyama didn't hesitate. Swish. He sent a quick set straight in Akira's direction. Seeing this, Inarizaki's front row blockers immediately moved to intercept. Even if they couldn't stop the spike, at least they could interfere with it. Otherwise, the back row defense wouldn't stand a chance. This time, instead of going for a straight spike like last time, Akira chose to attack diagonally. Bang. He aimed for the edge of the blockers. Akagi in the back row had already anticipated this and was ready for it. But even though he made an effort, Akira's spike was simply too fast. He wasn't in position early enough. Though he dove for it, he still couldn't get a hand on the ball. Karasuno scores. Rotation. Now Kageyama, a powerful server, was in the back row. Serve it well, Kageyama. As Inarizaki's cheerleaders clapped rhythmically, all of Karasuno looked forward to Kageyama's serve. Everyone hoped he would unleash a jump serve so powerful it would shut those cheerleaders up. Knock knock knock. But just as Kageyama stepped into position, a loud rhythm of drums erupted from Inarizaki's cheering section. Knock knock knock. And then, faster and faster. Faster and faster. This. Everyone on the court began to tense. They're trying to use louder rhythms to throw off the players' mental focus. Takeda said in disbelief, under that increasing tempo, the players might be subconsciously affected. How can they do that? Humph. That's such a cheap tactic. I really don't get it. They're obviously a strong team. Why resort to things like this? The audience watching couldn't help but scoff in disdain. They too had been affected by Inarizaki's antics in earlier matches. So they deeply sympathized with Karasuno's current predicament. It's up to Karasuno to hold firm. Creak. The referee's whistle blew. Kageyama snapped back to attention. Right now, he could only force himself to block out the sound. Shout. Drop. Run jump. Bang. A thunderous and violent jump serve rocketed over the net. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings to get Chapter 180, Chapter 180, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 5, Smack. The ball was picked up by the libero, Akagi. Damn it! Kageyama gritted his teeth tightly. Just that one ball. He had meant to send it straight across the net. But the feel of the toss had been off, and the ball veered off course. Still, this wasn't the time for regret. Across the net, Inarizaki had already begun organizing their attack. Now, Kageyama had to focus on forming the block up front. Right wing. This time, Utsunomiya went for a direct set to the front. The ball arced perfectly through the air toward Aaron Ajiro. On the other side, Karasuno's block was already in position. Crunch. Aaron Ajiro's jumping power was leagues above average, but right beside him, Akira's vertical was even more explosive. Smack. Touched it? Though he couldn't block it cleanly, Akira managed to get a touch on Aaron's spike, turning what could have been a point into a chance ball for Karasuno. Nishinoya rushed in from the back row to dig the ball. Let's go. Kageyama sprinted to the landing point, setting up beneath the ball. Jump set. There were other options, but given the situation, Kageyama chose the safest route. Swish. He said it again to Akira. Right wing. Seeing this, Inarizaki's blowers closed in quickly. Akagi, deep in the back row, zeroed in on the gap left by the front row blockers. He knew stopping Akira's spike outright was impossible. Even getting a touch would be hard. So, he couldn't leave it to chance. He had to give it his all to dig the ball. Boom. An unrestrained spike. Same trajectory as the last spike. Seeing that, a flicker of anger crossed Akagi's face. So what if your attacks are powerful? You really think you can go the exact same route again? Do you look down on our back row defense that much? Akagi gritted his teeth, eyes locked on the spinning ball. Too bad. I'm already here. This time, I'll dig it. Boom. As the ball slammed into his arms, Akagi instantly felt the overwhelming power behind it. Even thought he was prepared, the sheer force nearly drove his arms to the ground. And before he could fully absorb the impact, the ball ricocheted off and flew far toward the sideline. How was it? How did it feel, Akagi? The rest of Inarizaki gathered around, communicating with concerned expressions. Even Kurosu and Coach, watching from the bench, stared intently, waiting for a sign from their libero. That last spike, it was exactly like the powerful, unpredictable hit they had studied from the Karasuno vs Shirei Terizawa footage. They had made a plan before the match. Once they fully understood the mechanics of Akira's spike, they'd use a timeout to formulate a counter strategy. But now, the look on Akage's face was grim. He hesitated, then forced the words through gritted teeth, "That spike was really strong. I didn't feel much else. We need to try receiving a few more." "It's okay." The others seemed to notice his frustration. Aaron Ajiro patted his shoulder encouragingly. "No need to stress. It's not life or death." "I know." Akage nodded solemnly, his eyes fixed on Akira across the net. So it wasn't that Akira underestimated their defense. He just had the sheer power to overpower it. Inarizaki really did their homework before this match. In the stand S, Kuro frowned. Their libero didn't even look surprised by Akira's spike. They must have analyzed the match against Shirei Terizawa. Still, even knowing in advance doesn't help much. Bokuto leaned in, animated. "If you can't receive it, you can't receive it. That spinning force is totally unpredictable. If you can't handle it the first time, your odds don't get better. You can't adapt to a ball like that. But, it's not totally impossible to dig." Yaku scratched his head. "If you're lucky and the S-pin direction works in your favor, you might get under it. But that takes serious luck. In a match like this, that's not something you can count on. Who wants to leave defense to luck at nationals?" Creak. Kageyama returned to the end line with the ball. Akira had just scored with his spike, and Karasuno was still serving. Knock 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 knock. The accelerating beat of drums rose again from Inarizaki's cheer section. Across the gym, the Karasuno supporters looked around at each other, hesitant. They didn't know whether to cheer or stay silent. In the past, during Karasuno's serves, they'd always stayed quiet out of respect so as not to distract the players. Inarizaki had done the same earlier. So now, they were torn. If they shouted loudly, would that play into the other side's hands? Would it throw off their own server instead? Faced with that dilemma, no one dared break the silence on Karasuno's side. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fan fiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review power stone. Let's rise up the rank in GS together. Chapter 181, Chapter 181, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 6, This is simply bullying. Saiko Tanaka shot up from her seat with a loud thud and stormed toward the opposing section of the audience. Looks like she's about to cause a scene. Oi! Hey! Hold it right there! Uday Tenma, sitting beside her, quickly stood up and grabbed her arm. Calm down. Look at what's happening on the court. The situation. Saiko yanked her arm free and said, clearly agitated, the current situation is that they're interfering with our serve using such underhanded tactics. How can we just stand by and let this happen? Well. Uday Tenma gave a helpless smile and glanced at Akaidaru Tsukishima beside him, then turned back to Saiko and said, relax. Coach Yokai must have predicted something like this. Plus, in the current rotation, it's Akira number 7 who's up to serve for Karasuno. I think he might be able to break through their rhythm. Oh. At that, Saiko blinked in surprise. He's got a strong serve. I don't know. Uday stared intently at the court and shook his head slightly. I haven't seen him serve before. But I get the feeling. Someone that brilliant on offense, his serve can't be weak. So, Saiko, let's hold it together for now. Humph. Saiko scoffed and crossed her arms. Fine. But this better work. Focus. Don't let them rattle you, Kageyama. From the sidelines, Sugawara shouted anxiously. Kageyama turned his head and gave him a small, confident nod. Then he locked his eyes on the net across from him and took a deep breath. Toss. Jump. Smash. Just like before. Pop. The serve was successfully received by Osamu Miya in the back row of Inarizaki. That jump serve was pretty tame. A relaxed smile tugged at the corners of Osamu's mouth. Kageyama, on the other hand, frowned. He had definitely been thrown off by the relentless rhythm of Inarizaki's cheerleading squad. The fact that the ball even stayed inbounds was already a small miracle. If it were him. Kageyama glanced toward Akira, who stood poised ahead. He wouldn't be fazed this easily. As that thought passed, Inarizaki launched their next offensive. Etsumu Miya sent a swift back set. At the same time, Ren Omimai leapt behind him, as if preparing for a quick in the middle. It looked like a classic pipe attack. But as Asahi jumped to block, he realized it was just a feint. Omimai hadn't actually gone for the kill. From the left wing, Osamu Miya came flying in for the real attack. Left. Akira and Sawamura jumped in unison. Boom. They stuffed it. A clean block. Screech. Another point for Karasuno. Karasuno may be gaining points, someone in the Kamamade section muttered, but they must be pretty annoyed by now. The Kamamade team sat in the stands, watching NG intently. Inarizaki's cheerleaders are beyond irritating, Korei Hashiyamai muttered with a scowl, glaring toward the Inarizaki fans. If it were me, I'd shut them up fast. Ha! Still as hot-headed as ever, Sachiro Hiragami chuckled. If you react to it, you're playing right into their hands. Shut it. You're the childish one. Meanwhile, Kageyama was walking off the court, having rotated to the bench. As he took his place, the pounding of Inarizaki's drums rose again. And Inarizaki's cheerlead ERS strike once more, the commentators narrated. Their signature rhythm-based interference is notorious for throwing off opposing servers. We can see that Kageyama isn't quite himself at the moment. Can he overcome the distraction and deliver a solid serve? The commentary made even the casual viewers at home aware of what was going on in the arena. Some had wondered what that rhythmic drumming in the background was. Now, they knew. Inarizaki. Back in Miyagi, Coach Yokai eyes narrowed at the TV. So they've evolved this far. It's remarkable. You never know what'll happen in this sport. What the hell? There's a team this shameless playing at nationals. And they made it to the Final Four. At Aobajosai, Yotaro Kindaichi stared at the TV in disbelief. Ha, Issei Matsukawa smirked. I guess this is also a form of strength. Some teams aren't just skilled, they're cunning too. This kind of thing is becoming more and more common. Man. Inarizaki is really pushing it this time. In Shirei Terizawa's dorms, Tendo Satoru was watching the match with a gleam of amusement in his eye. They always pull these stunts. But hey, I like it. He let out a couple of eerie chuckles. Spicing things up off the court? Keeps things interesting. Around him, the rest of the Shirei Terizawa team sat watching quietly. What about you, Ushijima? Wakatoshi Ushijima didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on Akira's figure on the screen. If it was me on the court right now, what would I do? First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21 Sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying Teehee story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 182, Chapter 182, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 7, Creek. Looking at the referee's whistle signal, Kageyama knew the serve was about to begin. He tried hard to keep his mind calm, but on the other side, the increasingly rapid drum beat seemed to pressure him into rushing the serve. Whap! Kageyama took a deep breath and tossed the ball again. But just as he jumped, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Because of his earlier impatience, the toss was a bit too far forward. Thwack! In a rush, it was already difficult for him to control the power of his serve. All he could do was hurriedly send the ball over the net. Thump! Omamai, who was in the front row, easily received the ball. Now, everyone could see it. Kageyama's rhythm had been disrupted by the pounding drum beat. Haha! That looks promising. I didn't expect it to work so quickly this time. This setter from Karasuno must be a first year, right? He still needs a lot more experience under pressure. Hopefully it messes with his setting too. That'd be ideal. In the Inarizaki cheer squad section, delighted chuckles continued to ring out. And on the court, T-air attack had already begun. Boom! Ajiro unleashed a powerful spike, grazing Karasuno's blockers and heading straight for the back court. But at that moment, Nishinoya, who was positioned there, moved like lightning. Thwack! He dug the ball cleanly. However, the ball's position wasn't ideal. I got it. Without a second of hesitation, Kageyama sprinted toward the falling ball. Huh! That setter from Karasuno, he's still going for it? In the audience, the members of Fukurodani couldn't help but think Teehee same thing. Judging from that serve just now, he's not looking too sharp. And the position of this ball is pretty bad. If he messes up again, his mentality might completely collapse. Does Karasuno even have a backup setter? They weren't the only ones. Most of the spectators were watching Kageyama run with skeptical eyes. But at this moment, Kageyama wasn't nearly as nervous as everyone assumed. A badly positioned ball like this would have thrown me off before. Especially after messing up a few serves. But now, he had already made it under the ball just as it came down. With a smooth motion, he executed a precise back set. A ball like this, just give it to the ace. Crunch. Akira, on the opposite end, seemed to have anticipated it and leaped immediately. Stop him. In this tricky situation, Inarizaki saw a chance to block Akira's spike. Even if they couldn't stuff it, they wanted to create an opening for a counterattack. So this time, they closed off nearly every possible angle. To outside observers, if Akira really wanted to break through, he'd have to burn a lot of energy and use the kind of raw power spike he'd opened the match with. But in the face of this tight defense, Akira didn't flinch. The three Inarizaki blockers didn't even see a flicker of emotion on his face. Boom! A lightning-quick spike burst through the three of them at an impossible angle. A super inside corner shot just like the one Bokuto used to pull off. Whoa! From the sidelines, Bokuto couldn't help but show UT when he saw it. That was even cooler than when I do it. On the court, the Inarizaki defenders in the back row didn't even have time to react before the fierce spike landed squarely inside the 3-meter line. Creak. Karasuno scored again. What a miraculous spike. Even with a shaky serve, Karasuno's Akira still claimed the point with a crushing offensive play. Strong on both offense and defense, an absolute threat. If you run into their team later, you'd better be prepared. Can you really withstand an explosive surge like that? Don't stress. Akira, having completed the attack, turned to Kageyama and said, "Just serve normally. As long as we keep scoring, they'll shut up." "I know." Kageyama turned away coolly and walked toward the sideline. It was still his turn to serve. This Kageyama guy. He just got encouraged, but now he's acting like nothing ever happened. Watching this, Kaishin Yukai wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. What should we do? Unlike his calm demeanor, Itatsu Takeda was starting to panic. Are we just going to let Inarizaki's cheer squad keep interfering like this? Yukai was briefly stunned, then chuckled, and replied, "Haha. Don't worry, Takeda-sensei. Akira's up next." In the face of ABS Alyat's strength, even Inarizaki's cheerleaders will fall silent. Is that so? Hearing that, Takeda blinked in surprise. No wonder Yukai had stayed so composed the entire time. He already had full confidence in his players. As Takeda stood there momentarily stunned, Yukai shifted his gaze back to the court. I'm sure, he thinks the same way. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming. Stringy. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 183, Chapter 183, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 8, knock knock knock. With the increasingly rapid drum beat, Kageyama's serve shot again. Boom. But after the volleyball landed, the linesman on Inarizaki's side immediately raised the flag in his hand. Out of bounds. Seeing this, both Kurosu and Omitaro on the Inarizaki bench breathed a sigh of relief. In the past few rounds, although Kageyama's serves had been disrupted, it was Karasuno that kept scoring. The two of them had been debating whether to call a timeout to disrupt Karasuno's momentum. But as soon as they remembered Akira's unusual back row spike, they dismissed the idea. Now, Kageyama's service error had ruined Karasuno's chance to string together consecutive points. This was great news for them. On Inarizaki's side, it was now Osamu Miya's turn to serve Itsumu's twin brother. Though he doesn't use Itsumu's dual serve, his powerful jump serve is no less threatening. Bang! A powerful jump serve rocketed toward the back row of Karasuno. He aimed directly at Hineda's position. Thud! The sound of the ball hitting Hineda's arm was unusually dull, a clear sign of its force. Hineda couldn't withstand the pressure, and the ball shot off to the side. Beside him, Nishinoya dove forward, trying to save it, but he was too late. Osamu scores off high-S serve. Osamu! Osamu! Nice one! Osamu remained expressionless even after his successful serve. As he walked off the court to rotate out, Inarizaki's cheerleaders fell quiet once more. Now in the back row, Nishinoya shifted his position toward the center. Since Kageyama, also in the back row, wasn't part of the receive formation, and Hinata wasn't strong at receiving either. The entire receiving burden now fell on Nishinoya. Bang! As soon as the whistle blew, Osamu fired off another powerful serve. Ha! Nishinoya shouted, stepping instinctively to his left. Bang! Though the positioning wasn't ideal, he still managed to pick up the ball. That sucks. Etsumu muttered, unimpressed. Better than you, Osamu shot back blandly, long used to his brother's trash talk. Hinata, who hadn't joined the receive, saw Kageyama ready and immediately sprinted forward. At that moment, everyone except Nishinoya moved into position. On the other side of the net, the expressions of the Inarizaki players grew tense. Karasuno's formation was perfectly in sync, and they couldn't tell who would be attacking. There wasn't much time to figure it out. Right wing. Omimai shouted. In this kind of ambiguous setup, his instinct was to block Akira. If someone else attacked, they could still try to receive it from the back row. But if it was Akira making the hit, without a coordinated block at the net, the odds of stopping that attack were almost zero. Crap. Just as three of them leapt up to block, Kageyama's set didn't go to that side. Instead, the ball was sent to Sawamura in the middle. In Inarizaki's back row, Akagi and the others had already focused on Sawamura, anticipating a strong smash. They'd seen the footage from previous Karasuno matches. Their captain was Griati on defense, but a bit lacking in offensive power. So, if he went for a spike, they were confident they could receive it. But what they didn't expect was this: instead of a powerful spike, Sawamura lightly tipped the ball over the net. A dink shot. At that moment, the entire Inarizaki back row was focused on defending against a smash. Which meant no one was left in front of the net to stop the tip. Thud. Even though they reacted, Akagi, lunging forward from the back row, couldn't reach it. Karasuno pulls 1 point back. Damn it! Akagi pounded the floor in frustration. If they had noticed it just a second earlier, they might have had a chance to save it. And with that point, the serve returned to Karasuno. It's okay, Aaron Ajiro said, trying to focus on the positive. Akira's rotated to the back row. Without his blocking, this is our chance to close the gap. Right. Encouraged by his words, the Inarizaki players quickly took note of the change. With Akira in the back row, Karasuno's front line blocking wasn't quite as impenetrable. And his offensive capabilities would also be somewhat restricted. Even if Kageyama sent a back row set to him, it wouldn't be nearly as effective as his front row hits. This was their opportunity. They had to take advantage of it and even the score. Meanwhile, in the stands with the Inarizaki cheerleaders, hey! Akira's serving. He looks strong. Once everyone notices, pound those drums harder. Don't let him serve normally. Yes. On Karasuno's bench. Serve a good one. Akira. Yukai clasped his hands together and shouted toward the court. As his voice echoed, the rest of Karasuno turned their eyes to Akira. Don't let them shake you. You've got this. Stay focused. Give him a good one, Akira. With his teammates cheering him on, Akira slowly walked to the edge of the court and picked up the volleyball rolling on the ground. He turned around, and with a calm smile, said, "That's exactly what I wanted." First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stone. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel. I'm in Westview Town. Naruto. I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collect Ion Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 184, Chapter 184, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 9, the next one to serve is Akira. In the previous games of Karasuno, he didn't show any particularly strong serves. So now, in this critical situation, can Akira overcome the interference from Inarizaki's cheer squad and deliver a spectacular serve for us? The voice of the commentator echoed through the stadium right on cue. Akira's performance on the court earlier had already caught everyone's attention. But no one could say for sure whether his serve would be just as impressive. However, those in the audience who had seen the Karasuno vs Shiratorizawa match were a bit hesitant to jump to conclusions. Even though Akira had been outstanding during gameplay, he hadn't showcased any notably powerful serves in previous matches. Most of the time, he had just used regular serves. At most, he occasionally hit a float serve. On the other side of the court, Inarizaki's players didn't share that skepticism. Stay alert. His jump serve is really powerful. Akagi shouted loudly. Although Akira hadn't unleashed such a serve in their earlier matches, those who had studied Karasuno's game against Shiratorizawa knew. His jump serve was terrifying. Near the end of that match, he had taken down Shiratorizawa with 2 clean jump serves. That's how Karasuno had clinched the win. And now, seeing Akira step several paces back from the court, they had every reason to believe this serve wasn't going to be ordinary. Inside Akagi's chest, an uneasy feeling stirred. He didn't even know where it came from. But something just felt wrong. This far back, is he really going for a jump serve? Could he be like that guy Itsumiya, someone who's mastered 2 kinds of serves? But why haven't I seen him use it before? Huff. Akagi took a deep breath, shook his head, and tried to clear his thoughts. Whatever kind of serve it is, I'll receive it. Meanwhile, on the court creek, the referee's whistle blew just as Akira took his place behind the service line. Knock 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 knock. At that exact moment, the thunderous drum beat of Inarizaki's cheer squad began again. The pounding was deafening, nearly drowning out every other sound in the arena. Those bastards! Saiko Tanaka grit her teeth, forehead veins bulging in anger as she glared across the stands. This is ridiculous. Calm down, Bude Tenma said with a wry smile, gently trying to ease her temper. Let Akira finish his serve first, then we'll see what happens. On the court, facing the net and Inarizaki's lineup, Akira casually spun the volleyball in his hands. At that moment, the blaring drums of Inarizaki's cheer squad might as well have existed in a separate world. They could touch him. Whir, whir. The ball rotated rapidly in his hands. Gradually, the spin slowed. And just as it was about to stop, Akira suddenly tossed it forward. The shift from stillness to motion felt like it clutched the hearts of everyone watching. Even the relentless drum beat seemed to pause for a breath. That's not a jump float serve. Everyone on Inarizaki's side of the net was instantly shocked. A player serving a jump float must not put spin on the ball when tossing it. Otherwise, the unpredictable movement of a float serve wouldn't work. But Akira had thrown the ball with intense rotation. Which could only mean one thing: it was a powerful jump serve. But just as that thought crossed their minds, Akira had already completed his run-up. Jump. Whoa. That's so high. Outside the stadium, the crowd from Kamade High watched with awe. They had never seen Akira jump this high before. How can he even reach that height? He tossed the ball so far forward. What kind of serve is this? They weren't the only ones who noticed this. Did Inarizaki's cheer squad mess up his timing? The ball looks far away, can he even reach it? He should be able to. His jump is crazy high. Under the collective gaze of a stunned audience, Akira's body kept rising after his jump. In front of him, the volleyball had reached its apex and had just begun to fall. And Akira, he was still ascending. As the ball fell and he rose, their paths aligned perfectly. For a second, the world seemed silent. Time slowed. Everyone watched as Akira's right hand met the ball and the volleyball twisted violently in response, then in the blink of an eye it vanished. Boom! A thunderous crack echoed through the arena, like a landslide shaking the entire stadium. The crowd's necks turned slowly, almost stiffly, toward Inarizaki's side of the court. And there the volleyball had already slammed into the floor and bounced high into the air. White mist seemed to rise from the floor where it had struck, like steam from a collision. In that moment, it felt like the entire crowd had been choked silent. Even breathing became difficult. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter, -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21 Sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 185, Chapter 185, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 10, Bang. It wasn't until the volleyball fell sharply from the ceiling and landed among the Inarizaki spectators that it felt as though someone had flipped off the mute switch. From dead silence, the crowd erupted into a tidal wave of noise. Whoa! Just that serve! What was that? I didn't even see where the ball went. When did he even hit it? That was way too fast. From the time it was struck to when it landed, barely a blink. God, who can even receive something like that? You need a professional to stop it? Everyone who came to watch this match was completely shaken by Akira's serve. Among them were volleyball enthusiasts, family members of the players, teams who stayed to spectate after being eliminated, and even future opponents like Fukurodani and Kamamade. All of them were left speechless, their breath caught as they stared at the figure on the court who had just landed. Ha! I knew he'd do something like that. In the activity room of Aobajosai High, Oikawa looked like someone who had been expecting this all along. Among everyone present, only he had previously seen Akira's ferocious jump serve. Only he understood how terrifying that serve truly was. Back home in his study, Eri stared at the screen in front of him with a wry smile. That kind of jump serve. It's way outside the range of what high school players can receive. Maybe others watching through the TV couldn't fully grasp the horror behind Akira's serve. But Eri had received it firsthand. He knew exactly what it was. This one was even more terrifying than the last time he saw it. And yet, even now, he didn't know had Akira gone all out. At the very least, that serve still landed just past Inarizaki's 3-meter line. Tweet. Finally, the referee recovered from the shock and blew his whistle. Karasuno scores. There was no doubt that ball landed cleanly within Inarizaki's boundaries. This is unreal. Even someone unfamiliar with volleyball could tell just how overwhelming that serve was. Not only from how invisible it had seemed, but also from Uday Tenma's reaction on the sidelines. That man had once been Karasuno's ace in high school. Even he was struck speechless. If he was stunned, that alone showed how powerful the serve was. Across the court, Osamu Miya and Hitachi Jinjima stood frozen, eyes wide. The ball had just landed right between them. Yet their bodies hadn't moved an inch. Their reflexive reaction, which usually kicked in without thinking, had completely failed. Deep down, they already had a suspicion. The ball was simply too fast. So fast. Their instincts hadn't even had time to trigger. They hadn't even seen the ball before it hit the ground. How do you receive something like that? That was the question screaming inside both of them. Why had he never used this serve in previous matches? Nearby, Michinari Akage was the first to snap out of it. You guys. Right now, he didn't even know what to say. Usually, as third years, it was their job to stabilize the second years, who often lost their composure. But this time, after witnessing that explosive jump serve, Akage himself was at a loss for words. It's fine, just receive the next one properly. In the end, he could only force out that line through gritted teeth. Osamu and Jinjima exchanged looks, both unsure how to respond to Akage's words. It doesn't matter. Outside the court, Inarizaki's coach, Kurosu, suddenly shouted, "Forget what just happened. Put everything into the next one." As their coach, he knew how critical the situation had become. Taro's booming voice finally snapped the team back to reality. Yes. They shouted in unison. But when they all turned their eyes toward Akira, who was calmly walking back to the baseline, their hearts collectively sank again. That same serve. Was it about to happen again? Now, not just Inarizaki's players, but everyone was watching Akira's every move with rapt attention. That last point, was it a fluke? Or was that his real strength? Thump, thump, thumpy. Thump. This time, the cheerleaders' drums pounded louder than ever before. As if trying to bring the entire stadium roof down. We have to distract him. They clenched their jaws, glaring at the boy slowly approaching the end line. That last serve, they'd seen it too. It was the first time they had witnessed a serve so unstoppable. Just recalling it brought a wave of helplessness crashing over them. If they were honest, even just as spectators, they had been scared by that point. Now, frustration began to bubble up inside them. How could he be so overpowering? If they couldn't receive it, then let him mess up on the serve. People always said to block out distractions and stay focused on your own rhythm. But when the moment actually comes, who can really do that? So no matter how composed or focused he looked, he had to be affected somehow. With that thought, the Inarizaki cheerleaders struck the drums even harder. Receive this ball. Receive this ball. On the other side of the court, Akira had picked up the ball that had rolled to his feet and turned around. Standing opposite him, 6 of Inarizaki's top players. Each one of them had their eyes locked onto his every movement. From the stands, the relentless pounding of Inarizaki's cheer drums filled the arena. That look in their eyes, fierce and unyielding. In his ears only the enemy's war drums echoed. At this moment, Akira looked like he was facing off against the entire world. But, not a single flicker of panic could be seen in his movements. Not a hint of nervousness in his eyes. Even when the referee's whistle blew, his preparation remained completely unfazed. Effortless. Controlled. As natural as breathing or drinking water. But this simple, casual motion pulled at the heartstrings of everyone present. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter, -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 186, Chapter 186, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 11, Knock, Knock. The drumbeat of Inarizaki's cheer squad grew more and more intense, like a fierce wind and torrential rain crashing down on Akira in the middle of the court. But even in such a hostile atmosphere, Akira remained as calm as a spring breeze, utterly unshaken. He looked up, eyes fixed on the formation of Inarizaki across the net. That simple glance made every player on Inarizaki's side tense involuntarily. It was as if they had been targeted by some terrifying predator. Without further delay, Akira tossed the ball straight into the air. Whoosh! The spinning ball shot upward, high and fast. Just like before, the ball was sent far ahead of him. It's another powerful jump serve. At the same time, everyone watching from outside the court held their breath. Would this ball be as powerful as the last? Akira answered their question with action. Not only was it on par with the last one, it was even more powerful. From the moment his swing ended to the ball landing on Inarizaki's side, it all happened in a flash. The players from Inarizaki didn't even have time to react. All they saw was a faint after-image streaking past. It seemed almost slow, and a thought briefly flashed through their minds: I can receive it. But the instant that thought surfaced, they realized in horror. The ball was already gone. A loud boom erupted from the side. Boom! The gust of wind stirred up by the volleyball slamming into the court swept across the arena in an instant. Everyone on Inarizaki felt a chill ripple through the swirling air. A piercing, bone-deep chill that sent goosebumps crawling across their exposed skin. In the stands, the spectators stared blankly at the court. Even Inarizaki's usually thunderous cheer squad had fallen completely silent. That same shocking, unexplainable sensation, it was that serve again. Could this be his true power? Tweet. The referee's whistle pulled everyone out of their stunned daze. Karasuno scores. What an incredible serve. At that moment, the two commentators could no longer contain their excitement. From the very first serve Akira unleashed, they had been left speechless by the sheer power of it. By the time they came back to their senses, Akira was already preparing for another serve. They hadn't dared to speak during it, afraid of disrupting his concentration. But this time, the moment his serve ended, they couldn't help but shout aloud. I don't even know how to describe Akira's terrifying serve, but I'll try. Based on what we've seen so far, if Inarizaki doesn't come up with a solid countermeasure, then Akira might just serve straight through to the end of the match. Can you receive it? In one corner of the stands, Motoya Komori sat alongside Kiyomi Sakusa. Still shaken by the sheer force of the serve, Komori turned as Sakusa suddenly asked the question. Me? Komori looked back at him in confusion. Sakusa, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about me? That serve isn't even on the level of a high school player. He sighed helplessly. You think I can actually receive that? Sakusa furrowed his brow slightly. You don't have to perfectly receive it, just keep the ball from landing. You can manage that, right? If you seeing him about to launch into one of his monologues again, Komori rubbed his forehead with a sigh. If he didn't cut him off now, Sakusa would probably go 0-and to declare the match lost. Okay. I'll receive it, fine. But the ball might rebound right back across the net. I probably won't be able to control the force properly. Also, he'd have to serve it very, very close to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to touch it. Komori's response was enough to halt Sakusa's spiraling thoughts. He turned back toward the court, satisfied. That's good. At least that means two players on our team could potentially receive his serve. Even if we just need to keep the ball off the ground. Back on the court, the pressure was now squarely on Inarizaki's side. When Akira rotated to the back row, they had thought it was their chance to recover the score. But after 2 back-to-back serves like that, no one believed that anymore. Tweet. Just as everyone watched with bated breath, Inarizaki's coach called for a timeout. Coach Kurosu, known for his stern demeanor, now believed it was absolutely necessary to halt Karasuno's momentum. If they let Akira continue to serve, the outcome of this match would be in serious jeopardy. All 3 front row players, fall back. Seeing his team's morale dip, Coach Kurosu spoke with gravity, everyone get to the back line and receive his powerful jump serve. I don't care if the ball ends up going back to Karasuno's side. Just make sure it doesn't land on ours. And it's a move. You're joining the receive line too. All 6 of you, cover the entire court. We can't allow him to keep scoring off his serve. Yes. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 187, Chapter 187, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 12, bonus chapter. Looking at his team's still low momentum, Coach Taro Omi on the sidelines couldn't help but sigh. Okay. It's just 2 points in a row. Haven't there been times when the opponents scored consecutively before? Why do you all look so dejected this time? As long as we get through Akira's serve, he won't be able to play to his full strength from the back row. At that point, we'll still have the advantage. Let's go, everyone. Yes. After hearing his words, a glimmer of hope returned to the eyes of everyone on Inarizaki High's team. Keep it up, everyone. Yes. Everyone who returned to the court reset their mentality. No matter how powerful Akira's serve was, as long as they could touch the ball even just a lucky dig, they would have overcome this hurdle. And afterward, it would be their chance to catch up. Let's go. They were also pumping themselves up. On the opposite side of the net, Akira had already walked back to the service area. Time to keep serving. Seeing his movement, everyone on Inarizaki instinctively took a few steps back in unison. They understood that this kind of powerful jump serve usually wouldn't land too far in the front. And as long as the 6 of them were packed tightly in the back court, even if Akira's serve had a wicked spin, it shouldn't be able to avoid hitting one of their defenders, right? This was their chance. As long as they could touch his serve, then they had a shot at receiving it. If it didn't work once, then they'd try a second or third time. As long as they kept trying, eventually they'd succeed. Thinking this way, the terrifying serve from before didn't seem quite so impossible. As these thoughts swirled, every Inarizaki player stared intently at Akira across the net. And outside the court on their side, the drum beats from Inarizaki's cheer squad continued to thunder. But with that last serve, they had seen that Akira wasn't just unaffected, he was getting stronger. His second serve was even more intense than the first. So what was the point of their interference? Was it completely useless? Had it just been ignored? They couldn't accept that. So this time, they drummed harder. Mess up? How are you still not messing up? In their hearts, they screamed hysterically. Why? Are you really not affected at all? Is someone this focused and strong even real? No way. When pigs fly? Just send it out of bounds already? But in the face of their almost feral gazes, in the face of this war drum that thundered like a battlefield, Akira, who was preparing to serve, remained utterly indifferent. He didn't even glance at them. Creak. At the referee's whistle, his serve began again. Still terrifying ball tossed, leap taken. Every inch of his preparation held a strange, almost poetic beauty. If you could ignore the furious drum beats behind him and only watch the scene of him running and leaping, you might think you were watching a trained warrior performing a dance. Across from him, everyone on Inarizaki watched with expressions full of hope. Come on. Come this way. Land in front of me. Then. Let me dig it. At this point, they didn't even mind if the ball made it back to Karasuno's side of the court. As long as they didn't lose another point right away. As long as, they could just break Akira's momentum. But as Akira's arm swept through the air, they were crushed by despair once more. In the front row stood Aaron Ajiro, Ren Omimai, and Itsumiya. All three of them had backed up several steps in preparation for Akira's serve. But now, the ball Akira smashed went straight for the three of them. Boom. The three stared in disbelief as the ball dropped right in front of them, well within the 3-meter line. How could this happen? How can a jump serve like that land there? A serve landing inside the 3-meter line. Isn't that usually only possible if it hits the net? But regardless of how much disbelief they felt, the referee blew the whistle at the sideline. Karasuno scores again. Did that land inside the 3-meter line? I couldn't see clearly. Kotaro Bokuto said with excitement, that's the first time I've seen a serve like that. I really want to try receiving it. That kind of ball. Keiji Akashi muttered on the side, who could even receive that? Kenma pouted beside him and added, I feel like if you tried to receive that, your arm would break. I wouldn't dare touch that kind of serve. And when Akira scored again with his serve, the drum beats from Inarizaki's cheer squad abruptly stopped. In the audience on the other side, Saiko Tanaka clenched her fists with excitement. Yes. Took long enough. Let those shameless jerks see for themselves. That kind of cheap trick doesn't work. Just as they were all fired up, on the opposite side of the court, Akira stepped into the service area once again. Preparing to serve. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones. Second bonus chapter -800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection. Review Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 188, Chapter 188, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 13, and this time, Inarizaki's cheerleaders tried to interfere with their signature drum beat from outside of the court, but it had become much weaker. It wasn't that they didn't want to continue, but rather that they were overwhelmed by a deep sense of powerlessness. Throughout the past 3 rallies, they had been desperately trying. They beat their drums with all their might, throwing in every ounce of energy they had, trying to put on a show that would shake the court. But no one even looked their way. Their behavior felt like that of a small puppy endlessly yapping at an elephant. They thought they had a chance just because the elephant didn't respond. But in the end, they never realized the elephant never even considered them enemies. At this point, the morale of Inarizaki's cheerleaders was starting to collapse. On the opposite side of the court, the referee's whistle blew, signaling Akira's next serve. No surprises. Even though Inarizaki had adjusted their formation, they still couldn't receive it. Because it was simply too fast. Like a phantom streaking across the court. There was no time to react. Karasuno scored again. That made 4 consecutive points from Akira's serve. And he was still going. Just thinking about that sent a chill down the spines of every player on Inarizaki. Now, Karasuno was up 12-5. And Inarizaki still only had 5 points. Even if they managed to catch one of his serves, could they really close a 7-point gap in the back half of the set? Don't forget Karasuno's other players weren't pushovers either. Even with Akira rotating to the back row soon, making up that deficit out of now here seemed almost impossible. As they were thinking this, Akira on the other side of the net launched his next serve. Boom! Another thunderous strike shook the entire arena. Another service ace. Back on Inarizaki's bench, Shinsuke Kida couldn't help but shift in his seat. He turned toward head coach Norimune Kurosu. Not yet. Once we receive a serve or in the second set it's your turn. Taro Omi, one of Inarizaki's coaches, spoke urgently. His tone was heavy, but he still clung to a shred of rationality. Now wasn't the time to send Shinsuke Kida in. Yes. Hearing this, Kida, who had risen halfway from his seat, slowly sat back down. But his eyes remained locked on the court. As if he could find some flaw in Akira's serve just by watching closely enough. Boom. On Karasuno's side, Akira's serves continued. Point after point. They just kept coming. From the 4th serve onward, Inarizaki's cheerleader interference began to falter. By now, their drumming had become sparse and disjointed, nothing like the powerful rhythm they had started with. They sounded like a defeated army, wailing in despair. Boom. Another powerful jump serve smashed straight into the center of Inarizaki's formation. Damn it! Just barely missed. Michinari Akage muttered helplessly. It had happened again and again. Just when it looked like they might receive his serve, the ball slipped just beyond their reach. Creak. The referee's whistle sounded. Karasuno scored again. Akira was still up to serve. Whoa. Is he really going to serve through the entire set? Kotaro Bokuto watched from the stands, his expression lighting up with interest. This is wild. Inarizaki might become the first team in Nationals history to lose a semi-final set off a single serving run. His words left the others around him speechless. Bokuto's priorities were as strange as ever. That might actually happen, Ken Makojum added thoughtfully. Inarizaki still only has 5 points. If Akira keeps scoring off his serves. Lefheba hesitated. They may really lose the set just like this. And honestly, I don't think anyone predicted that before the match started. No matter what the others said, Akira's serving streak continued. His explosive serves landed like lightning, and the sound of the referee's whistle blended with the roar of the crowd, creating a surreal rhythm that entranced the audience. How many years had it been since something like this happened at Nationals? Whether they had known Akira before or not, everyone in the stadium now had his name seared into memory. They wouldn't forget that powerful presence on the court. And at some point, the area around Inarizaki's cheer squad had gone completely silent. Or rather, it had become deathly quiet. Most of the cheerleaders' faces were pale and stricken, like they had just lived through a brutal war. But in reality, all they had done was beat their drums and try to disrupt Akira's serve. Yet now, while Akira remained on court still serving, still scoring, they sat slumped in their seats as all strength had drained from their bodies. This wasn't physical exhaustion. It was a psychological blow that left them crushed, silent, and defeated. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones White Heavy checkmark. Second bonus chapter, 800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto. Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection, review, power stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 189, Chapter 189, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 14, Creek. Inarizaki's defense is still trying desperately to catch Akira's serves, but their lunging attempts are once again futile. Even after serving so many times, the power behind Akira's shots hasn't diminished in the slightest. Are you okay? Kageyama couldn't help but glance back at Akira, who had just served another ball, and asked, "Can you still keep going in the next set? Do you want to take a break for a while?" Hearing his words, the rest of Karasuno reacted as well. During this whole time, they had all just been standing there, motionless, watching Akira continuously serve. And despite the countless aggressive serves, there hadn't been the slightest dip in power. Just as ferocious as at the beginning. That's exactly why Inarizaki hasn't been able to stop a single one of his serves. Yet, before we knew it, you've already served so many times. Daichi also looked at Akira with some concern. Honest, why, it's okay to take a break. Right? Didn't you see those loudmouths on the other side finally shut up? Haha. We've been standing here so long my ankles are sore. We want to move too. Seeing the concern in his teammates' eyes, Akira shrugged slightly, a bit helpless. All right. Truthfully, even if he continued to serve, he could probably hold out until the end of the set without issue. Karasuno's score had already reached 20 points. In other words, just 5 more points, and the set would be over without suspense. But if he kept this up, his stamina for the next set might be affected. After all, these powerful serves are nothing like normal offensive spikes in a rally. He has to jump further than a typical back row attack. And higher. That means the physical cost is greater. Besides, the purpose of these serves had already been fulfilled. The Inarizaki cheer squad was completely silent now, utterly dead quiet. And if he gave up the powerful jump serves now, it might even produce some unexpected effects. So, under the watchful eyes of his teammates, when it was his turn to serve again, he sent a standard overhand float serve flying into the air. Shout! The sudden change on the court immediately caught the attention of all the spectators. What's going on? Why didn't Akira use that powerful jump serve? That's just a normal float serve. Why didn't he go for his usual one? Is he out of stamina? Huh. That can't be it. If that's true, what will Karasuno do in the next set? Hearing the murmurs around him, Hashiyama pouted with mild contempt. Humph. These people are so clueless. If Akira were out of stamina, Karasuno's coach would have subbed him out to rest. There's no way they'd let their ace burn out on the court. Especially since they absolutely need him in the next set. Ha ha ha. You're spot on. Hiragami also nodded in agreement, it's just that most people can't see that. At the same time, everyone on Inarizaki, who had been keeping a close eye on Akira's every move, immediately noticed the difference in this serve. Splat! Faced with this ordinary float serve which was clearly less powerful than the vicious jump serves, Akagi in the back row picked it up cleanly. And after being shut down for so long, everyone on Inarizaki suddenly saw a glimmer of hope. Let's go! Utsunomiya shouted, and although his legs had gone a bit numb from bracing himself for the previous serves, he still rushed to get under the ball's landing point. With a swift, precise set, the ball flew toward Aaron Ajiro on the wing. Everyone on Inarizaki watched him with bated breath. Finally, an opportunity. This point had to be scored. They had to score. They couldn't let Akira serve again. Carrying everyone's hopes, Aaron launched himself from the right wing. Boom. His extraordinary athleticism let him rise higher than Karasuno's blockers. He struck the ball cleanly above the net. A sharp spike slammed into the back of the court. Creak. The referee's whistle blew. After so many plays, Inarizaki finally got a point. But across the net, there was no sign of joy or relief on their faces. Only a deep, bitter frustration remained. Sigh. Kuro let out a sigh in the stands. That kid Akira is downright murderous. He's got a wicked mind. Huh. His words drew everyone's attention. What do you mean? Shouldn't Inarizaki be happy they finally scored? Bokuto asked from nearby, isn't that a good thing? Watching the scene unfold, Akashi couldn't help but sigh, not quite, Bokuto-san. Think about it. From the moment Akira started those powerful jump serves until now, Inarizaki couldn't receive a single one. So when they finally do receive the ball, it's not because of their own effort. It's because the opponent chose to stop using that serve. If you were on Inarizaki's side, wouldn't that make you feel bitter? You finally got a point, not because you overcame the challenge, but because your opponent gave up the fight. First bonus chapter, 400 Power Stones White Heavy checkmark. Second bonus chapter, 800 Power Stones. Check out other novels. Marvel, I'm in Westview Town. Naruto, I'm Ninetales and my host is Kushina. Dear readers, join Patreon for 50 early chapters. https://www.patreon.com/uk21sparkler. Check out new fanfiction. Sparkler Naruto, Madam, you don't want anything to happen to Sasuke, right? Marvel, Deadpool is my best friend. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to add it to your collection, leave a review, and drop a power stone. Your support helps the story reach more awesome readers and keeps the updates coming strong. Every stone boosts the story, every review gives it life, and every collection shows your love. Thanks for reading. Add to collection Rev IEW Power Stone. Let's rise up the rankings together. Chapter 190, Chapter 190, Karasuno vs Inarizaki, 15, bonus chapter. Of course I feel very nope. Bokuto was interrupted mid-sentence by Akashi. Not only will you feel uncomfortable, you'll scream how uncomfortable you are. You might even start making a scene. Haha. Hearing that, Bokuto scratched his head and smiled. You really do know me. Just like they say. Even though Akira's serve had finally been broken, no one on Inarizaki felt any sense of relief. They had finally received Akira's serve, but only because he stopped serving by choice. So what had all their hard work been for? All those desperate saves, the grit to keep the ball in play, was it all meaningless? Off the court, seeing the drastic score difference, Coach Taro Omi could only sigh helplessly. With this kind of score gap, winning was already out of reach. Kita. You'll replace Jinjima at the start of the next set. Yes. Kita-s Hinsuke stood quietly on the sideline, watching the court with his usual calm. Even in a situation like this, his voice remained steady. There was something inherently reassuring in his presence. Back on the court, the referee's whistle blew. The match continued. With the recent rotation, Inarizaki's ace, Aaron Ajiro, had rotated to the back row. Earlier, he had responded to Akira's serve with a powerful jump. But this time, Akira and Nishinoya were the ones in the back row, ready to receive. Ajiro's serve, though aggressive, wasn't as overwhelming as Akira's. It landed closer to the front row. So the two of them successfully received it again. Seeing the ball coming up, Hinata charged forward. No need for words, Kageyama understood him instantly. As the ball floated toward him, Kageyama leapt. At the same time, Hinata launched himself into the air at the net. Kageyama focused on the spot just in front of Hinata's arm, and in that moment, whoosh! A pinpoint toss flew forward. At the same time, Hinata swung his arm with explosive speed. Bang! The quick attack was so fast that no one on Inarizaki reacted in time. It slammed into the floor. Karasuno scores. One step closer to sealing the set. Whoa! That quick attack, anyone seeing it for the first time would be floored. Kuro watched with interest as every player on Inarizaki stared in stunned silence. It's a kill shot on first sight. The first time you go up against this combo, no one stands a chance. Kenma hesitated slightly before speaking. Up. Not quite. Huh. Everyone turned to him. Do you know something we don't, Kenma? Yaku asked, surprised. Shoyo told me when they were resting, Kenma said quietly.